play to win the game.
My message for the fans, we're all frustrated with where we are right now.
Jets, Jets.
Well, hello, everybody. What is cooking? Bunch of good lookings. We are in a good mood tonight because we get to do this with you guys. I'm telling you, man, it seems like there is a dwindling group of us, right? You know, it's tough to stay engaged all season, and the group is dwindling. But I have to tell you, and I mean this with the utmost sincerity, the people that remain during the dark times, which is where we are, everybody, the people that remain are the best of all the people. Now, don't you tell those other people when they come back. I want you to know I'm not gonna co-sign it. I'm gonna say, get out of here. I never said that, but it's true. It's true. I think you guys are the best of the whole batch of tomatoes. What do you think of that? Huh? It's nice to see you guys. I like that Braden from New Zealand is here and so many of our other friends. But speaking of friends, let's bring on someone you know and love. He's ready to go. He said hello to me today with facts. That's exactly. He said, "Hey, how you doing? Guess what?" And he went right into it. That's how he does it. So let's see what he's got for you. Let's say hello to Frankie from Flatbush. What's going on, Frankie?
It's time to gripe. It's time to gripe. Intelligently, it's that time of the week, Thursday thin of it in the middle of the off season.
There it is, the Thursday thin of it. You know, it's funny, Frankie, that slipped out of Frankie's mouth a couple weeks ago, and it was sincerely funny. I don't think it was pre-planned or anything, just flew right out. And I've had probably 10 of you guys or so, a dozen, say that to me since. It's in the Discord right now. Somebody said, "Hey, is a Thursday thin of it happening tonight?" So it makes sense,
right?
Man.
It feels right, doesn't it? At this point in time, it's a thin gruel of news and just information about our sport that we love. So it's a thin gruel.
It is, but you know what? I think the Jets, the NFL really at large, I think is doing a much better job these last, let's just say 10 years or so, of keeping it a full year, and excitement throughout the year. But the Jets, even in addition to the NFL, are trying to keep us engaged, I think. And one of the things that we'll talk about in just a few minutes is that Woody Johnson came out and we announced some new Ring of Honor people, and that's worthy of excitement, man. I mean, look, it's not the Hall of Fame, but Woody Johnson said it really perfectly. He said, "This is the highest honor we can give you." He said that to those guys, and I thought that was interesting. But so at least they're trying. We have the OTAs. We're doing some pressers. We got some of our younger players are on socials. They're giving us little clips of them at the games and all that stuff. Even CJ Mosley got involved, which is nice to see. Michael Carter was at a game. So at least they're trying for us, Frankie. You know what I mean? They're trying. They know we're out here. You know what I'm saying, man? They know we're here.
Well, you know what was weird about that announcement, GreenBean, was that, they did it on this podcast that they have with Mark Sanchez and Nick Mangold. And then they announced, okay, it's going to be Mangold and Darrelle Revis and DeBrickashaw Ferguson. And oh, by the way, Mark Sanchez, you're here too. Oh,
yeah.
Like what? Wait, what? It's like, it was so weird. And then like they had him sitting on the middle thing like a little 10-year-old, and Woody Johnson got to sit in the seat. And it was like, what is this? What is Mark Sanchez thinking when he's sitting there? Like, I wonder.
Yeah, right. There is a message there. Frankie, I know you know this, but most times it's what's not said that screams the loudest. So 3 of your teammates, 2 of which were on your line, are getting inducted to the Ring of Honor. They were that good. And hey, would you mind announcing them for us?
And by the way, thanks for being here, Mark.
Right.
We appreciate. Thank you very much, Mark Sanchez. We appreciate it. We'll see you later. Here's a free donut.
Yeah, that's an interesting take. I didn't even connect that. I mean, like I think subconsciously I knew, you know what I mean? Because it was like you feel it in there, but I didn't even put that together, man. So that's an interesting wrinkle to this whole thing. Now, just to talk about it real quick, I think it's important that we talk about how just amazingly fantastic these three players were. I mean, Revis was, I mean, it's a shame. I'm glad he came back to end his career here. I am. In 2015, he still had a good year, but he completely, look, maybe he let himself go entirely. Maybe he just truly lost it. Or, that happens too. You fall off a cliff. But it sucks the way that his last season ended. He looked fat. He looked slow. Just a craziness. But he did come back and end it. But man, up until that point, how good was Revis really, dude? You remember watching him? You didn't have a concern in the world. All these receivers would come, and remember Chad Ochocinco said, trust me, I'm going to burn me some Revis. And it's like 12 yards for you, kid. You know what I mean? It was amazing being able to watch that guy.
The things he could do was just incredible. His body control, the way he could change direction and then make plays on the ball. I mean, it's just, it doesn't look like much when you're watching it, but then when you watch other guys try to do it, it's like, oh, that's why he was, okay, now I understand. But Revis, he was that defense. I mean, we could do so many things because of the things he could do. What he allowed us to do by erasing the other team's best player. I mean, there's that famous graphic from 2009, all the great receivers, Terrell Owens and this one and that one that he shut down. But what that allowed us to do is, okay, we could put people on islands and we could just bring everybody else. You know what I mean? We can bring everybody else. And that's what we're kind of hoping maybe we could do with this defense. I mean, not that these kids are, Darrelle Revis or anything, but maybe they might be, good enough that we could do something like that and then bring the house.
Well, dude, you're absolutely right. I mean, look, every team that played us during that period of time, whether it was the Detroit Lions, who had the very, very talented and dominant Megatron at the time, Pete, they thought, all right, well, this is the guy. We have the guy that's going to get and he completely shut down. Dez Bryant. Now, I don't want to say shut down, but largely, they get their couple of catches here and there, but it's all limited damage. It's really nothing. And then Reggie Wayne, man, Colston. Remember how good Marquise Colston was? And then you had Randy Moss twice. And then Randy Moss got Revis a couple times, though. He did. But yeah, that year, 2009, he completely shut him down. You remember that interview? They asked Revis, word association, one word, and they just went through the receivers, and when he got to Randy Moss, he said soft. Said the same thing about Terrell Owens too, soft. And then when he got to who was the guy with the Texans, what the hell was his name again? The Texans at the time,
he had a very common name.
I started with an A. Andre
Johnson.
Andre Johnson. He said beast. Beast. But that was funny, man. Randy Moss. Everybody goes, oh, Randy Moss is one of the best of all time. Soft. That's Revis.
I mean, when you're that good, you can say those things. I mean, when you're that good, you can write your own checks. I mean, come on now. You got to be.
That's it. That's exactly it, man. So then we had, largely a forgotten guy. Mangold sticks around the community. He's he's got the barbecue sauce. He's sponsored by and partnered with Gangrene UK, who we've had on. I don't remember if that was when we were coasting, but they've been around us. Really good group of guys. And, so he's kind of in the mix. Revis, announced a draft pick. Mangold announced a draft pick. But DeBrickashaw Ferguson has just kind of been on the sidelines. Now, guys like us, we remember DeBrickashaw Ferguson. I love DeBrickashaw Ferguson. There is a contingent of Jets fans that say he was very good, not great. Fine, if you want to say that. He missed, not even, he was taken out for one snap his entire 10-year career. It's fucking great. All right, that's great.
Now. I mean, never missed one game, not even one game. That's crazy.
Yeah, so he's getting inducted. Now, what do you think of him? I mean, we're talking about him not missing games, but are you on that side of things where, he was solid, but not great? Or are you a big DeBrickashaw fan? How do you see that guy?
Yeah, I love DeBrickashaw. I mean, I don't know. You'd have to look at it. I mean, did he go to the Pro Bowl? Did all that stuff?
He did 3 Pro Bowls.
So
I think it
three.
was. I think it was 3 Pro Bowls.
Yeah.
I'm
you have
not
to
sure
look
if
at
he had
but
an
a guy
All-Pro.
who's that solid, and consistent is very valuable. 3 times Pro Bowler. I mean, what more
Yeah.
do you want? 3 times Pro Bowler, never missed a game. That's a great guy.
Yeah, I think so too. And the greatest thing about him is that there was a package there. Like the 2 most important pieces on the offensive line. Like, of course, they're all important, but if you had to rate them, left tackle and center are at the top of the list, right? And those 2 guys, they came in together, they played their whole careers together, except the 1 year when Mangold stayed 1 or 2, I forget. But it was like a package deal. Like it was Brick and Mangold, and just their names together to have that be your draft. The Brick and Mangold. It was like that was Mangini's first draft. And it was like, okay, this guy's making a statement. You know what I mean? It was nice to have them together. And one of the things I'd like to remind everybody is that even if you don't think D'Brickashaw Ferguson was, quote, great, he was a multi-Pro Bowl left tackle. Who never missed a snap for us. So that floor is pretty high right there. But even if you don't think he's great, like the idea that he was, well, let me say this. He took a couple years to get there. The first 2 years, believe me, I've been doing this, online aggressive jet talk shit for since 1998. You know what I mean? I've been online. So there was a loud chorus to replace him. Year 2, there was a loud chorus to replace D'Brickashaw Ferguson. He's a schlub. He's a bust. Just because he was taking
these guys. I mean, we'll replace him with what? A Bush?
Another draft pick. Go back to the drawing board. And that's the thing. It's like when you look at a guy like Mekhi Becton, who I want to remind everybody is 22 years old. 22 years old. The idea that he takes a minute to kind of get up to snuff and be able to handle the NFL game, it's not that far-fetched. And D'Brickashaw Ferguson is a really good example. Now, on the healthy thing, he never had the 1 year, injury that Mekhi Becton had, but it doesn't matter the reasoning for it. Taking a couple years to get your engines running and be able to be a stalwart in the NFL is not uncommon, Frankie.
Well, let me give you another example. Do we think Troy Aikman's any good? Troy Aikman, he any good?
Remember him? I think he, wait a minute. He had those, 20 Super Bowls? Something like that.
Three.
Dynasty, remember? Something like that.
3-time Super Bowl champ, 6-time Pro Bowl Hall of Famer Troy Aikman. Anybody want to know what his completion percentage was his rookie year?
Wait, what's that?
52.9%.
Oh, okay. See?
Worse than Zach Wilson. How about his second year? What, was he any good in the second year?
No, what'd he do?
56.6%. Just about the same as Zach Wilson. And last week we talked about Anya. We said that Zach Wilson's Anya was very, very bad compared to what was Troy Aikman's Anya his first year. Guess what? Worse than Zach Wilson, 3.09. How about his second year? About the same as Zach Wilson, 3.88. So does that mean Zach Wilson's going to beat Troy Aikman? No, but it takes a minute, like you were saying, GreenBean. It can take a minute.
Yeah, well, that's the that's the whole thing too. And when did Troy Aikman take off? When they grabbed Emmitt Smith and Michael Irvin? You know what I mean?
Yeah, 91. Yeah. He took a leap. He went from bad, very bad, to very good. Pretty in that third year. He took a Josh Allen leap. It's basically the Josh Allen thing.
Yeah,
he took a leap his third year, but he also was in general, he was also kind of overrated. He never threw for more than 23 touchdowns in a season, never threw for 4,000 yards. But still, nonetheless, he was a solid, Pro Bowl type quarterback, and it took him 2 years to get going, really.
Yeah, it's not uncommon. That's why I implore my Jets fan friends to calm down. Calm down. I have to say though, it's not that I don't understand, being impatient, and I think a lot of Jets fans have a hard time kind of carving up the multiple rebuilds to what they really were. It's one long one. Like, this is bullshit. We've been waiting 10 years for anything, but it's not true, So, when you look at a guy like DeBrickashaw Ferguson as our example of a guy that took a minute and ended up being just fantastic for us. Again, maybe he was never, like Paris is saying, he's not Marvin Powell. He's not Orlando Pace. Sure. Maybe not Jonathan Ogden and Anthony Munoz, but he was among the best every year. Maybe not the best very often, but he was in the conversation for top of the league every year of his career after year 2. And that to me is incredibly valuable. And numerous quarterbacks were protected by him. So he's fantastic. And then you got Mangold, who's just, he said this year in the draft, Frankie, he said, "My beloved Jets choose." And who was it again? Which pick did he do? Did he do Jeremy Ruckert? Is that who he did?
I think he did do Ruckert.
Maybe he did Ruckert. I was thinking maybe they gave him the offensive lineman, but maybe not. But you see it, like when he says it, he says, "My beloved Jets." That is a guy who has, he didn't come from here. He didn't play, he wasn't a New York guy. The experience of being a New York Jet and the interaction with the fans and the Rex Ryan and the this and the that, it had an impact on him to this is who he is now. He's us. He's a Jet. And I like when that happens, Frankie. It doesn't happen all that much because we have players for 2 years now. 2, 3 years, a long time.
Spent his whole career with us. That's unusual. 7-time Pro Bowl, 2-time All-Pro, 1 other time All-Pro second team. This guy, this should be one of our legacy guys. That's what's also great about the Ring of Honor. We should be putting these people in a Ring of Honor. We need a Ring of Honor with lots of people in it. We got to build up our history and all of that. We got to get Joe Klecko in the damn Hall of Fame. How about that? But we need to celebrate our history. When we have great players like Nick Mangold and DeBrickashaw Ferguson and Darrelle Revis, we should celebrate them in any ways that we can. Any ways that we can.
Now, let me ask you this. I'm going to tell you guys the entire Ring of Honor in a minute. I know a lot of us will know a lot of them, but, the collection, I think, is interesting. It's going to bring back a lot of memories, and it's fun. But before that, let me ask you a question. Now, we have 3 retired numbers, Frankie. One is number 12, one is number 13, and one is number 28. Do you think that maybe a 24 or maybe a 74 could be retired? Do you think they were good enough for that?
Yeah, well, Mangold for sure, Revis for sure. Those numbers should be retired. 2-time All-Pro, 7-time Pro Bowler Nick Mangold, only played for the Jets. I say retire the number. Take it out. Let's give them all we need to pump up, these guys. We need to pump up our history. We need people to know that we've had these people around here. So why not? What's the negative?
Yeah,
somebody can't play with 74 anymore. Big deal. Who cares?
Yeah, right. There's more than enough numbers for a 53-man roster. Technically speaking, you can retire. What is it? 47 numbers.
I retire them all.
Watu is in the chat as usual, and he's backstage helping us out. I want to remind everybody, or maybe not even remind, let me inform everyone that's in the chat that Watu, you're not going to see the name Watu out there right now. Watu has started his own gig, which we fully support and we will love, but it is New York Sports Wicker Media. Now, a lot of people know about this wicker chair joke that he's got running. So he embraced it and he went with Wicker Media. So if you see that, it's this guy right here, New York Sports Wicker Media. That's Watu, our boy. If you get the chance, go over there, maybe sub to the channel. But he's telling me, and I feel weird that I don't feel confident with this, because this is the number I wear, Frankie. I wore it all through my football years in love, honor, and respect of my favorite player at that time, who was Dennis Byrd. He's saying number 90 is also retired. Is that accurate? I just don't know that. Is it?
You're the Jets historian. What's going on here?
I gotta take a look. Is number 90 retired on the Jets? Let me see.
We gotta get you like an official Jets library so that you can be the historian.
Yeah, he's right. Oh shit, and Klecko too. How did we not remember Klecky? You just talked about him, the old Kleck. So here's our retired. I said 3. It was actually 5. And thank you, Y2K. Wicker Media, everybody. So he said, he reminded us of 90. So it's 12 and 13. That's Namath and Maynard. Curtis Martin, who is number 28. That number's retired. Klecko 73 is retired, and Dennis Bird number 90 is retired. I think that's amazing. Somehow, Frankie, that slid through this sieve of a brain that I have and made it to the other side without me remembering it. So thank you, because that bothers me that I didn't remember that. But now what about a 24 and a 74? I think that would be fantastic. I really do. Now, Tigo checked in. Talking Jets with Tigo. He's our buddy. You could support his channel as well. He said that Nick Mangold did in fact announce Max Mitchell. So that ended up being appropriate. Didn't Revis who did Lavernius Coles? Wait, Revis announced Michael Carter or Elijah Moore, some shit. I'm clearly losing it. I'm lost right now. So I'm confusing myself. But Steven Sitchell says, let's retire 24. I'm with it. Now let me get to this super chat, and then I want to show you guys the Ring of Honor. And we'll talk about these players. Benji Unger, thank you for the super chat, my friend. Sorry to repeat myself, GreenBean, but I want Frankie's take on us not having our logo at midfield. That's right.
It's a travesty.
It is.
This is terrible. We got to have an NFL shield on our field. This is our field. This is our house. You're coming to our house, and we got an NFL shield in the middle of the field? I don't think so. Where is the Jets? Why is it that our logo has nothing to do with jetty things? There's nothing. Look at our logo. Is there anything jetty about it? What about our colors? What about our field? Where is Jaime? El High? Where are you, buddy? This is business stuff. This is branding. This is marketing. This is bullshit.
That was good. This is branding. This is marketing. This is bullshit. Well, let me say, though, you got to be careful, Frankie. You got to be careful. While I am with you and I support this energy, this direction of your angst, I'm with you. I'm on the same train. You got to be careful, because we don't want to go too far the other way. I don't want to change the color green. Green is it for me. I don't care that there are no Jets.
We can still have green, but can we have some more gray? Because there are no green planes. There are
tons of green planes. They're all over the place.
But at least
Saudi Arabia.
The logo. I mean, what about the logo? Can we get something jet-like in the logo? A wing, a plane?
Well, Frankie, they do have they do have the let me show you right now. They have the thing here. Let me see. Where is
our old logo is awesome. The one from the 80s. That had some jet stuff to it.
What's going on here? Man, I'm telling you, sometimes I delete stuff, Frankie, and I don't know what's happening. So let me share this screen with you guys real quick. And I'll show Frankie that there is a jet. And I know you know this, but I'm going to do it nonetheless. So let's see. Where'd it go? All right, I'm going to share the screen. We'll talk about this Jets logo in just a second. Where'd it go? Free agent, channel dashboard, New Year Ring of Honor, Jets logo. Here we go. Can you see this? Whoops, wait.
Yeah.
You see it.
What's jetty about that?
Right here. Frankie, can you see my mouse?
Yeah.
You see it? You see the football. This line right here, this is as if a jet was flying away from us. These are the engines, and these are the wings. Yes.
Are you kidding me?
That's real.
That's ridiculous.
That's real, buddy.
I don't buy it. We need something. Oh, we have the most subtle logo in the history of sports. It's so subtle. Nobody knows what's going on.
That's right. Well, look, in their defense, there's a football on it. That's important.
That's true. There's a football.
We have a foot. Where is it? It's this. This is a football. So this football lines is actually, look, from a certain angle, this could be called brilliant. I'm just saying, from a certain angle. If you're going like Frankie, you know how the FedEx logo has that obscure subliminal arrow in it, in the between the E and the X, I think it is, that has the arrow. Do you know about that? Okay.
Yeah. I don't think this should be subliminal though. We
think
need to
just
be in your face, explicit. We are the goddamn Jets, and here's a jet on our thing. That's what we need. We don't need to be playing games with subliminal hints. We don't have the luxury of that. We got to be more in your face, explicit.
Subliminal hint, right? Well, that's the route that they went. Now, interestingly enough, a lot of people are saying that we need to change our logo. Now, the logo only it represents a very bad time. Christopher Johnson took over the team when his brother went to England, and he decides, I'm gonna make it the best franchise in the world. I'm gonna show my big brother, right? I'm gonna show my big brother that this is not that hard, and I can do it. And instead, what happens is we get Adam Gase, Mike McCagnon,
a terrible logo,
and a brand new, spanking new logo that they didn't. I'm hearing a bad echo right now. You guys hear that? I'm hearing an echo all of a sudden. Is it just me?
No, it's just you.
All right, that's good. So remember, the way that they did this is they had the jerseys in these boxes. They did not show the players. Jamal Adams, Leo Williams, Chris Herndon, all of our stars. Okay. All of our big stars of the day. So they have them in this box, and they filmed them with a camera inside the box when they opened it to get their natural reaction. That's how confident Chris Johnson was that these were going to be slam dunk, home run, knocked out of the park. And Jamal Adams, who we now know, we always knew if you didn't, if you just let yourself know it, he can't pretend to like his emotions are on his sleeve. So he tried. He went, ooh, yeah. You saw his face. He went, man, what the fuck is this?
Well, especially because if you look at some of the things that the fans have put together, like if you just do a Google search, some of the things that these graphic designer, just regular old graphic designer people that we don't even hire, they've come up with some amazing designs.
Dude, right? When you look out there, let me show you one that I think is stupendous. I'm going to use this same tab just so I don't got to keep. What the hell tab is this the one? Did I minimize it? Let me see.
I mean, some of those right there are pretty dope. I mean, that one.
Which one?
Well,
this one?
No, second one on the left. That's
goddamn. The goddamn Jets. Watch this. Wait.
Oh, wait a minute.
Okay. All right. Let me see here. So you got this one, Frankie. What do you think of this?
That's better. I like it.
Right? Okay. Now, do you think what about this? This is classic, right? This is a take on the old classic right here. Now, the face mask, we can leave that aside. That's not what we're talking about. With the design. Would you think this is better?
I mean, I like that one right there.
This.
Yeah.
This is sharp, man. This is sharp to me. This is right up my alley too, Frankie. This is good.
But see, there's got to be some nod to the fact that we're the Jets. There's got to be a plane, a wing, something.
What about this right here? You like this?
Like it better.
You like this? Okay, let me see what else we got. You like this guy? Remember this guy?
Football.
Here's my favorite one right here. This.
That's a classic right there.
Isn't that fantastic? You get the white of our most positive eras, whether it's the 69 era, whether it's the Parcells Herm, Rex Ryan era. You get the white, but then you get the fun font with the swoosh of the 80s, 90s logo. I think this would be a slam dunk. I really do. I think this would be great.
Wait a minute. Why is it that the Atlanta Falcons can now have an alternate red helmet? Did you see this?
Well, because this year coming out, I did not see that. Yeah. What they went back. Well, I think that's what the Jets are going to do. Now, this is the 2023 is the year that teams are allowed to have the alternate helmet.
Well, I think this year, I think it's going to be 2022. There was a guy, it was AJ Terrell taking that out of the box. And it was
what I say, 23? Yes, this year, 22. Yeah. That's what I meant. Yeah,
AJ Terrell took it out of the box, put it on, and looked fire. And why can't we? Where's ours then? We got to have.
Where is ours? See, now this is the Falcons I remember. This is what I grew up with, Frankie, right here.
Fire, man. Yeah.
See, I think it's good.
And they have awesome colors, but
Yeah. Black and red are badass.
Yeah.
Yeah, black and red's good. So I think this is good. I like it. So maybe the Jets will come out with a that third helmet, and maybe it's one of those, because you nailed it. Whatever our design department came up, and look, I don't feel as strongly as some others. My buddy Sack Exchange, dude, this helmet, he's so unhappy. It's like, and I feel it. He hates it.
Just we have some? I just don't. It's not even that it's bad. It's just that it has nothing to do with Jets. Like, well, anybody could have said anything. They could say the dung bowls.
Right. It could have said, and right. And that's so, but like, you see what these kids, I call them kids. I don't know what they are, but these people, these amateur design people, they're out there slamming these out there all the time.
Yeah.
Why can't we get one that's as good as them? I mean, there's like 4 or 5 right there that we just picked that I sincerely would prefer over what we have. And I'm not even a hater. I'm like, I like it. Like I said, I can see the jet in the football. I can see the combo deal. You're struggling to see it, but I get it. But but it's interesting. The only thing I would be afraid, I know that there are people that prefer the blue and gold. I know there are people that don't want the green. I do not want to leave the green at all costs. Whatever else we do, I want green and white. If we like black, good. You want the no black?
I would use green as an accent color, but it's our main color. Like, let's use black and gray as our main colors and use green as the accent color.
See, wait, so, okay, I'm going to go back to you, Aunt Jet, but he says, GreenBean Jet, bring back the Titans. See, that's the thing. Like, okay, man, I have to admit, I would be so unhappy if we did that. I don't even like when they bring back. Yeah, it's just, you know what? It looks like Notre Dame-ish to me. It looks like college to me.
Yeah, it looks basic.
Right? And it looks like they remember the Titans from the movie. They remember the Titans. So it's like that kind of a thing.
It's cool for a change up. Like, probably people like it because it's like, oh, look, this week we're in these crazy uniforms. But if you had to do that every week, you'd be like, this is terrible.
Yeah. So, right. Exactly. It's like, it's fun for a week. It's fun for a week. But I think, it's important to have the identity aspect. And I think when we switched over from the uniforms that we switched from were my favorite uniforms. I like the 80s thing. I don't like the Kelly green. That bothers me, like that flat matte kind of looking green. I don't like that. I really do like the Gotham green. I like the green that we have right now, and I've liked the green a couple of other times, but the white unis that Rex's team had, those are my favorite uniforms. Parcells, Rex, all that. Like, I just love that uniform. I think it's classic and it has the identity. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's the Namath connection, all that sort of stuff. But if we have a time if we're going to switch, like, why so benign, right? Why so like,
badass. We need to be going
badass.
We need to be going for the most badass logo you've ever seen in your life. We can't be going safe. We're not the Patriots.
Well, see, Chris Johnson was afraid. He took it.
He probably thought that was badass for Christopher Johnson.
Yeah, well, right.
From badass.
It's like, I can find a way to completely respect everything that Chris Johnson was doing. He tried, man. He tried. His Woody had hired 2 consulting firms, whether it was Wolf and Casterly or Corn Ferry. Like, he was out there, and Chris Johnson said, dude, we're men. We can build a damn team. One call from Peyton Manning ruined that. Okay. One phone call, because he did. Look, even though you think you might know something, you don't know until you know. Right. And then he knows now. But I do respect the really hard swing he took. It's just he struck out. He struck out fucking pretty hard and pretty famously. But the uniforms are funny. But look at this. Aunt Jet checks in and says we should have a new segment called Frankie's Frustrations. What do you think of that, Frankie? You want to do that every week? This really grinds my gears.
The problem with that is it'd take a whole 2 hours. We'd be here and it'd be the whole show. There'd be Frankie frustration for 2 hours straight. I got a lot of frustrations.
Yeah, right. And then look, and like, people call me, they say I'm positive, I'm even keeled. That's all. This is all. It's not a character, but this is all hard for me to do. If we give Frankie the keys to have a segment, Frankie's Frustrations, all it's going to turn my engine on. And then we're going to sit here for 4 hours straight, yelling and screaming about everything that happens on a daily basis. So I don't know if we could do that one, Ant Jets. Edward Ziff says, don't hate me, but the navy and gold unis looked awesome. Just updates. See, Frankie, I'm telling you, this is what I said. We have to be careful with our gripe. Again, we need to gripe intelligently. We got to, all right, we want to change this, but we can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You know what I mean? We got to be careful that we don't lose the green, because Edward Ziff and OOK, they're waiting out there with the blue unis, man.
But you have an unusual emotional attachment to the green, because you're a green bean. And
my God, can you imagine?
You have an emotional attachment to it. If you were just Bean, like the Bean Man, or whatever, you wouldn't really care so much about the greenness, would you?
No, I disagree. I see your point, and I didn't even realize that till you just said it. Now I'm even more so. I swear I didn't even make that connection. Like, I couldn't be green bean without the green. I didn't even know that. But now, yes, that is more fortification for my already potent point. I just, you know what it is? I associate the green with the Jets. The green is my favorite color, whether it be forest green, army green, like just greens. I look good in greens, like earth colors and greens. My eyes turn green when I wear green, like really weird shit, man. So I love the green. As a little kid, all my family, my cousins were all wearing blue, red, and white for the Giants. They were all Giants fans. I have one Miami fan here, one Dallas fan here, but it was Giants. And me and my Aunt Gina, we wore the green. And if it was like a badge, like when we walked into a room, they knew within a second, there they are, the Jets fans. So I like it. I love it. It's my favorite. But I do hear you, man, having some sort of association. Why not gray instead of black? Why, or both. Black and gray work real well together. You know what I mean? Yeah. So Edward Ziff, I don't hate you. But I don't love you right now either, but I got to admit, the blue and gold. Let's see what Kevin C has to say. Thank you, Kevin. He says, love seeing all the Jets at local New York teams, Mets, Rangers, Islanders, Yankees. Jets getting a lot of love. Also, Green Bean and Frank, meatball sandwich or chicken parm? That's a great question, Kevin. This is good. This is exactly what I like to talk about. I'm going to give it to Frankie first. Frankie, if you had your choice, and you can only have one, meatball parm or chicken parm?
I'll take the meatball sub. I like a little. Can I get a little marinara? Can I get a little? Can I get a little provolone? Can I get a little? I'll take the meatball sub.
Now let me say this too. I love chicken parm sandwiches. But if you toast the bread with the meatballs already in it, like, so you put the meatballs, they got to be good meatballs, not some bullshit, mass produced out of a bag meatballs, like like high school cafeteria balls. We don't want those. No. You get a good meatball, cut it in halves, and you put them in there, and then you get the nice melty mozzarella and provolone and all that shit, and then you toast it so it's a little bit of crunch. If there's that, I'm taking that every day of the week, Kevin. And sounds like Frankie's on the same page. We're meatball parm guys. Who knew? Who knew, Frankie?
Yes, sir.
I didn't know. I didn't know that about us as a unit. We're meatball parms. But I love seeing them out there too, Kevin. I think it's fun. I wonder. Now, I'm not a passionate New York sports fan anymore. I still feel it. I still have it. At one time, I was diehard. I was a Yankee fan and an Islanders fan. I became an Islanders fan when Dennis Bird got paralyzed. The Islanders wore the 90 patch that the Jets wore on their helmets all season, just like the Jets did. And that meant something to me. And the reason being, we practiced at Hofstra, that's Nassau Coliseum. So the whole thing, there was a connection there. And it just so happened that the Islanders were good then. That was the Pierre Turgeon, the Healy, Darius Kasparaitis, all those guys. So I really, for about 10 years, I was an Islander fan, rather passionate Islander fan, but my real love next to football was basketball. I loved the Nets and I loved the Patrick Ewing Knicks, because the Nets sucked so bad. It was just painful to watch them. So I went to Knicks games and I fell in love with that Knicks team. So I wonder though, are diehard Mets or Yankees fans, are you guys upset when they go to the other team's game? Or last year, Zach and Dan Feeney and everybody went to the Islanders game. They were in Islanders jerseys. it almost gives you the impression like, yeah, man, they're Islanders guys. And then they turn around and they're wearing Rangers jerseys at the. Does that bother anybody, you think, Frankie? What do you think? Or are we just happy that they're there?
I think we're happy that they're there. I mean, they're supporting New York sports. I mean, if you think about it from a political standpoint, they're doing the right thing. We support everybody. We support all the New York teams. We want all the New York teams to win. And these guys aren't from New York for the most part. A couple are, but so they're just coming here. They want to experience New York. They want to experience all the fan bases, and so I don't think you can blame them for going to all the games. They're testing it out. See what's what, feeling it. I think it's great for them to feel those crowds. Like the best video for me was the one with Mike Carter and Elijah. They were feeling the crowd, right? And they were feeling what that feels like. And then they go home. What do you think they think about? Hey, if we could do something similar in our field, this is what it'll feel like for us.
That's right. Only times 3. There's 3 times as many Jets fans in that building.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think of the same exact stuff. And that's where I sit, because there's no, I think you'd have to really create a lot of fantasy to believe that all of a sudden Zach Wilson's a diehard Islanders fan. He's going to the game to be supportive, to connect with the sports scene and all that here in New York. And I think it's smart. I know Kayvon Thibodeau did that last week too. He went to a game. So it's smart for these young guys to do it for the Jets and Giants. But I do see many more Jets out there. I think we have, when you compare us to the New York Giants right now, I think we have the more in touch team right now. I think that we have the more passionate team right now, the team with the stronger direction right now. Now they just changed, so we don't know what it's going to be, of course. But I mean, as far as having a finger on the pulse of the city, I feel like that's the Jets right now, and that's not always been the case. It's been the Giants for a very, very long time, but I think right now it's all Jets in New York, man. Do you think I'm off base, or am I just looking through my green goggles here?
Well, if we can judge by the calls that were made after the draft picks, I mean, Brian Daboll and Joe Shine were still, they were about as excited as a slug. Hello, we want to congratulate you on your draft pick. We can't wait to get working with you.
Glad it worked out.
Glad it worked out for you. All right, goodbye now. And that's the culture of that. And then we have the maniacs on our side screaming into the telephone, sauce, for 6 hours. I mean, this is
it's different, right? And then you look at Michael Carter and Elijah. Like Michael Carter, dude, I can't like that guy. I mean, it's amazing. I think I like him as much as I can. And then another thing comes out with him, and I'm like, I fucking love that guy.
That guy,
I love him.
I was thinking the same thing. Green. I was just watching his interview on the podcast, the Jets podcast. How can you not love this kid? I mean,
it's amazing.
Everything that comes out of his mouth, I'm like, oh my goodness. His military parents, how about that? His mom and dad were in the military. You think he's going to be detail oriented?
Yeah, right. It's right. The specifics matter. Yeah, man. And it's right. I think Michael Carter, and then he said he was happy that they drafted Breece Hall. You want to know? And look, I actually believe him. I don't think it's just teammate speak. I think that's his comfort zone, having that teammate, that partner in the running game. And I think they're going to be amazing, man. I mean, that's probably, if I really dig in and I look at what little position groups I'm most excited about, I have to admit that Breece Hall and Michael Carter, and then you add Bawden and whoever else to, I'm really excited about this running back room right now. And that's not been the case for a long time. Mike Galizia, he says the 80s logo was the best. See, that's the one. Now, some sort of hybrid, right, Mike?
Yeah.
The white helmet.
You could take that 80s logo and kind of freshen it up a little, with some modern day graphic artistry and make it similar, but a little cooler, and it'd be perfect.
Right. That's what I think. And I would love to land on a white helmet too, man. Don't forget, Weeb Eubank back in the day said the white helmets, they help the quarterback see on a green field. That was the whole reason for the white helmets. He said it helps the quarterback. Parcells said it too. Parcells corroborated. He said, yes, I think there's truth to that. We have a green helmet on a green grass field. No wonder. And we've never had a quarterback worth the shit.
I never thought about that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Doesn't it? Like, think about, everything's green and you got this little white ball running around, So I'd like to see us land on the white helmets again. Guys, before I get into the rest of the super chats, I do want to remind you about the cool, fun thing I'm doing out there right now. You guys know I brought it up the last few weeks, and I'm having an absolute blast. I'm hanging out with Versus Game, the Versus Game app, VERSUS, the Versus Game app. We are having a blast. My question out there right now, which you still have time to get in on, is for game 1 of the NBA Finals, who is going to score more points, Steph Curry or Jayson Tatum? So it's very simple. All you do is go on there. If you want to put some money down, you can put $1 down. You could put 5, 10, 100, 1,000. You could put anything you want. If they find somebody that feels the same way on the other side, says, oh yeah, I'll see your $100 on the other side, you have yourself a game, and you can do it for free too. And then whatever happens, at the end of the night, I confirm the results, and you win. It's that simple. And I'm having a blast playing. I'm playing games about like crypto. Is Bitcoin going to go over this or that? Because I watch that stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, it's definitely going to go on. I'm going to put $10 on that. So I play these games, and I think it's really fun. I can't wait to get into the Jets season, like what's going to happen with our team. I'm going to have 2 questions per day during the Jets training camp and season. But anyway, if you want to get in on that, the link to the Versus Game app is right in the top of this description of this very video. All you do is click on it. My name is GreenBean. You'll be taken right to my game, and you can get in there for free. Like I said, try it out a couple times, see if you like it, see if your guesses are accurate. If you get confident, maybe throw some money in there to play with a little bit of cash and be able to win yourself some money too. It's a really good time. And again, my question is, who's going to score more points in the NBA Finals game 1, Steph Curry or Jayson Tatum? If you get it right, you're the best. So there you go, Versus Game. And thank you for playing. Frankie, it's such a good time. I'm really, truly, honestly having a blast with it. I'm playing every single day. It's an interesting thing.
On that bet, I'd have to take Steph Curry because I don't know who the other guy is. So I'd take Steph Curry. I know he's good. He can shoot.
Well, you know what's funny about that is that the last few games, Jayson Tatum has outscored Steph Curry. And that's where I think the trick is. You know how like Vegas, they'll go 3.5 points. And how many times does that half get you? You know what I mean? Like, how the hell do they do that? But there's little wrinkles to it. And now I think if you just look at like the last series, you'll say, of course, Jayson Tatum's going to win. But I think because of that, a lot of people are going to think Jayson Tatum's going to win, and then Steph Curry is going to win. Like it's weird like that in sports, but I hear you. There's a lot of guys. I don't watch the NBA quite like I used to. So I'm like learning again. I'm like, oh yeah, that guy. I got to look up their stats and everything, but I'll tell you what, Frankie, it's fun. I hope you guys can get out there and play with me. Again, we're just warming up for the season. It's going to be I can't wait to think of creative questions for the New York Jets during training camp, preseason, and the season. It's going to be a good time. So Versus app link, top of the description. Alien Face is checking in, Frankie. Alien Eyes McGoogle. That's what we'll call him. He says, we need our own stadium. Jets can opt out of MetLife lease after 2026. Put the stadium somewhere in New York State so Bills fans can stop making fun of us. That's a funny thing. One of these Ravens fans checked in to one of my videos this week, and they were talking shit, and they said the Ravens versus the New York, New Jersey Nets. Like, they say that like it hurts, but to me, I could give 2 shits, right? I don't care. I understand. Like we've said before, when the whole lawsuit thing came out a couple weeks ago, the Jets actually play closer to New York City than almost almost a quarter of the teams in the league. Like, there's 25% of the teams in the league play further away from their city, including Buffalo, by the way. They play in Orchard Park. They're not Buffalo. You know what I mean? Right. So it's a whole different thing. But so that's one thing. Now, I understand what you're saying, Alien Face McGoogle. I get it. But I don't think it's that big of a deal. And I think when we're looking for free agents to come here and everything, the truth is New Jersey taxes are significantly more attractive. It's like another almost 5% in New York. So that could deter some people. I don't know. We're going to dig into these tax things. Me and Frankie were talking about it earlier. It doesn't sound like fun. So we're going to delay, I'm sure. But yeah, the whole tax thing is interesting. Yeah.
Let me ask you this, GreenBean. So if we can opt out of the lease in 2026, that's not very far away. And when you're
that's
talking
right around the corner.
right, when you're talking about getting out of a lease and then you have to have some place to go. You can't just get out of the lease and then say we're going to play in a parking lot. So what if we were going to do that? Shouldn't we be hearing some rumblings like the Jets are leasing land over here, the Jets are doing some exploratory real estate exploring over there? I think we should be hearing about it right now. So
maybe. I mean, that's 4 years.
It's 4
right?
years, but where are we going to play? We got to build a new stadium. What are we going to do? Play in Yankee Stadium?
Maybe we rent out MetLife for 2 years, but here's why I don't think it's going to happen. Alien Face is that the Jets are part owners in this stadium. So, I mean, it's like,
true.
I mean, I don't know. I guess it is a lease. Maybe I'm wrong on that one, right?
No,
Maybe I'm wrong.
No. They built this stadium without any tax money. So you could say to one thing you could say about the Johnsons and the owners of the Giants, hey, they built this stadium on their own with their own money. A lot of these owners, they get, half and half deals with tax money and all that.
Yeah. Look at what Buffalo's doing. They're strong arming the city.
Yeah. Oh, we'll go to Austin, Texas. We'll go to San Antonio.
Yeah, we'll leave.
Yeah, we'll leave. Well, okay. Well, here's all our tax money. So, but the Johnsons and the Maras, they didn't do that. So you got to give them some credit for that. But at the same time, they built the stadium. Then they put a rubber field on. I mean, can we just change it to grass? Like keep the stadium there, but let's have grass in the stadium. Perhaps we could. That would satisfy me. That's my main concern with that stadium is the playing surface. I would love to have a grass stadium, grass and dirt, like they have in New England, like they have in Kansas City, like they have in Green Bay. If they can do it, I think we can do it. So,
well, your video about that, Frankie has a video. It's probably down a little ways in his catalog now, but he did a really great job digging up all the teams that have grass in the cold weather, because obviously it's going to be easier to maintain grass in the South and out West and all that. But Denver, if I remember correctly, from your video, I got this information from Frankie from Flatbush. Denver is kind of the model right now. Like everybody, they have the most impressive grass field in a cold environment stadium, and they've kind of figured it out. So if everybody just used them, just said, hey, how are you doing that? I'm sure they would tell you, you know what I mean? And you can go and just apply that. I think it would end up working. So they've proven, man, it's possible. It's possible to get a grass field. But Frankie, I got to be honest, my whole problem with the stadium is not necessarily the grass. That's part of it. My problem is the way that it's structured. It never gets loud. It's like, it's really bothersome. It is noticeably different. Now, a lot of guys, they've never been to Giant Stadium, or it's been 10, 15 years, whatever the hell it was. I think we moved out. We got in here 2010. So 2010.
Can they fix it, GreenBean? Can they fix that with some sort of construction? Can they push the walls in? Can they push? Can they put like a half of a roof on it or something?
Well, number one, they should have put a friggin' roof on it in the first place. You know what I mean? Like, they should have done that. There should have been some sort of dome on there, some retractable or whatever. It's really kind of silly that they didn't. But if you did that, that would absolutely take care of the problem, because there's more people. I think it's 10,000 more than Giant Stadium, if I remember correctly. Somebody could maybe look that up. But so no matter how you slice it, there's 80, 90,000 people in there, and you can hear people talking next, like as loud as it gets, you can talk to the person next to you. Giant Stadium used to get so loud that you would have to scream to each other. Like it was loud, and it was like that bowl and the wind. And it was like, it was an environment, man. It was an atmosphere that teams had to prepare for. Our stadium now, as loud as we get, I mean, we're yelling, we're screaming, we're doing all this stuff. It never feels like it gets that punch in the face loud like Giant Stadiums did. So with the grass and the loudness, the design of it, everybody's like far away from the field. It's a lot wider down there on the field. And then in addition to that, it's kind of sterile, because they don't want to commit to one or the other. Jets or Giants, because you got to turn it around next week. So they have some creative solutions, but it doesn't feel like it's our house. And that's the other thing I have with it. So I'm with you, Alien Face. If we could get our own stadium, I really would be happy about it. I would. That said, I just want to tell everybody I wouldn't hold my breath. Like Frankie said, if we're not hearing at least whispers now, then I don't think. But then again, maybe they're using the Joe Douglas regime tact. We're just going to find out. Oh, yeah, they're moving next week to this stadium. They built one without anybody knowing. What do you think of that?
It's also hard to believe because they own the stadium. So the Maras and the Johnsons own the stadium. So everything that comes through that damn stadium, they make money off of. The concerts, the soccer, this, that. Yeah. They make that's a money making, machine for them. They're not going to just throw it in the garbage. Now, on the other hand, you could in theory just keep that as a venue and then build something else, I guess. But I just doubt they're gonna do that.
Yeah, that's the thing. I doubt it. And the whole thing with moving back to New York, again, there are significant tax issues with going back to New York. And then we found out recently the Jets aren't even a New Jersey team. They're Delaware. They're a Delaware corporation. That doesn't mean that the players don't have to pay state taxes in New Jersey. You have to pay taxes for where you work, not necessarily where your employer is based. And I know that for a fact because I worked for a Florida company. And when I lived in Virginia, they got me. They got me good. The extra 10% or whatever it was. I didn't love it. But so there's that. So I don't know. I mean, we're talking sums of millions and millions of dollars. So I don't know, Alien Face, but I would be happy. I wish we did that West Side Stadium. That would have been the best case scenario. Everybody pulling into New York, heading into the Lincoln Tunnel. The 100,000 people that ride that road every day would have stared right at the New York Jets Stadium. And it
would have been beautiful on TV too. It would have been amazing on television.
Amazing. Yeah, they dropped the ball. Woody Johnson should have fought and kicked and screamed to get it. But all right, let's see what else I think I'm seeing more chicken parm people, Frankie. I gotta say that. A lot of people.
Everybody's got their own taste.
Yeah, I guess they do. But and that's such a nice way to approach it, Frankie. I was ready to call them names and stuff because now all of a sudden, because I'm on Team Meatball, now all of a sudden I have to throw rocks at Team Chicken Parm.
Not everybody grew up with an Italian mother. I mean, what are we gonna do?
That's right.
That's their problem.
I say exactly. That's your own fault.
That's your fault.
I see a couple veal parms in there too. I used to eat. I don't eat veal so much anymore, but not in a judgy way. I just don't. But yeah, I remember eating veal parms. Let's see. Edward Ziff checking back in. He says blue and gold. He's back with the blue and gold, Frankie. This is 2 comments from Ed. He says blue and gold as an alternate, bleed green. I hear you. Well, that's the way we have it now. You know what I mean? Like whenever we go to our throwbacks, we end up being blue and gold Titans. Now, I wish that they would go back to that 80s, 90s uniform, that early night. But I liked it when it first came. Like, remember the first year that they did the throwbacks? It was like really cool. And everybody went back as far as they could. The Steelers had those. They looked like bumblebee legs. Remember that? It was corny. The Chicago Bears were hilarious. It was really fun. Now, when we went to the Titans for that, I got it. You're going back as far as you can. Just go back to the most classic uniform you have. But now that we're doing it a little bit more regularly, I think that we should be bringing out the other uniform, Ed. I think we'll still have the Titans in our repertoire. But if they're going to go ahead and have that third helmet, I think it should be some variation of that 80s, 90s swoosh logo. That's what I think.
NFL history is fascinating. Did you know there used to be a Staten Island team in the NFL? Yes, sir. Did you know that there used to be a Brooklyn team in the NFL? Yep. Did you know that at one time there was a New York, New England joint combined team called the Yanks?
Really?
Yeah. NFL history is kind of fascinating. Teams would keep going, like teams would be in the league for a year and then go bust. Then there'd be another team that would be in the league for 2 years and go bust. Like they couldn't make it. This was all before television, way, way back there when, it was hard to sustain. You couldn't, you couldn't figure out how to make it viable. There was no money. So teams would come in, then they'd go bust, and then they'd come in again and go bust. It's fascinating.
Yeah, right. I look at look at his comment, Frankie. James Napoleon checks in. He says he just wants to make this known. Sam Darnold's run and you know the one we're talking about, the one that he went into, like a 50, 60-yard touchdown, whatever it was better than Zach's last year. Love the channel. Well, thank you, James. What do you think of that? Do you know the two runs that we're talking about?
Well, I know Zach's run, and I know Sam Darnold did have a lot of, I was watching some Sam Darnold games recently, and he, at the beginning of the year last year, he was like leading the league in like rushing touchdowns. He had like 5 rushing touchdowns, right in the beginning of the year. And Sam Darnold's a mobile guy. There's no problem with Sam Darnold running. I think if you watch a lot of Sam Darnold, you realize he's really what he is, I think, is a high-end backup, because he does some special things, but then he does some really dumb things. You're like, what are you doing? But if he was a backup and he did the same things he does now, you would say, okay, we're happy with this guy. But because he was picked when he was, and the expectation were so high, everybody thinks he's a bum. He's not really a bum. He has a lot of good qualities. There's things he can do. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. And I think, look, it really does boil down to the fact that the guy came in, he was raw. He was a prospect, right? And we never gave him a quarterback coach. Not only that, we never gave him consistent weapons. We never gave him a solid, above 28th offensive line kind of a thing. And he had to switch coaches in the middle there, and it's just like, when you look at the entirety of the situation, you would have had to be really special to overcome that. But for a guy like Sam, who had footwork and mechanical issues, he didn't stand a friggin' chance, but now he's might be damaged goods. Let's see what happens down there in Carolina, because he's got Corral.
The interesting thing is watch Geno Smith this year. Can Geno Smith be any good? If you watch him in short samples last year, there were times when Geno Smith looked like a starting quarterback. There were other times he did not. But you look at him some of these games and you're like, this guy can do it. Why can't he do it? And then he goes to the next game and he doesn't look so good. So it could be that maybe Geno Smith is a high-end backup and maybe Sam Darnold's a high-end backup. And we cultivate high-end backups here. Maybe that's what.
Hey, maybe that's our expertise. Making the league's backups. That's what we're doing. We're that.
You're
team.
welcome. You're welcome, everybody.
Well, there you go. Enjoy. That's like that theory. There was a legitimate theory, and there were people like on Jetnation that were beating this drum legitimately. They were saying that Adam Gase is a shill for the NFL. He has a very specific role in the NFL, and it's why he keeps getting jobs. Now, obviously, he hasn't worked in 2 years, so maybe this is theory. But the idea was that Adam Gase's role in the NFL is to tear down teams and have a scapegoat. So like they want to clean it all out, and they got a guy that comes in and he just ruins everything. But that was a real theory.
The richest ruiner on earth.
That was a real theory.
A lot of money. He made a lot of money to be terrible.
Hey, right. He's made more money. And now look, I'm still holding out hope for this millionaire idea I got. But so far, I'm going to be 50 years old this year, Frankie, and I haven't. Now, collectively, I've made a couple $1 million, but I have yet to sit down one day and say, I'm a millionaire. So he's got me beat. So if they said, hey, you want to just walk around? everybody's going to hate you. They're going to call you names.
There is one more piece of evidence that would actually support that, which is that he is from the Belichick tree. Bill Belichick supposedly
Saban
likes him, but the New England Patriots don't have an offensive coordinator right now. It's vacant. Offensive coordinator vacant, and Adam Gase unemployed. So if he was an actually good coach, why wouldn't they just hire him to be the OC? And they didn't. If there was ever a place that would be a landing spot for him, that would be it. And they didn't call him up. So that kind of gives evidence to this idea that maybe he is the ruiner.
Yeah, like they're not ready for it. Now, listen, you see Bill Belichick's, they're not ready yet.
They'll call him in a year from now when Belichick wants to retire.
That's right. Now, Belichick is setting the stage drafting Cole Strange in the first round and all all these like the things that he's doing. He's just getting the stage set for Adam Gase to come in and fucking tear the whole thing to shreds. And but wouldn't that be funny if that was real, Buffalo Jet fan checking in. What's up, buddy? He says he just stops in the channel and the first thing he hears is, "Yeah, I'm with you, alien face." Yeah, well, that's when you know it's a good show, Buffalo. That's how we do it. See a lot of guys. Just some interesting comments, real quick, and I got to some more super chats we'll get to. It says PSL licenses better transfer if they made a new stadium. I'll tell you, man. Imagine having to start over. So you paid for this license and it only lasted 10 years, and then and those things are not cheap, Frankie. They're like,
I remember when they were coming in, they were controversial. It was like, wait, I got to pay for a license? Why aren't I paying for tickets? What is a license? I don't understand. Yeah. So I remember those were controversial. But like I said, I was not one of these people going to games growing up. That was not my thing. We didn't go to games. We just went to PS 207 schoolyard. That's what we did.
You're right. There you go. But that's the thing, right? So it's hard to have an opinion, like a strong opinion, when that's your stance. That's where you are.
But if I was a person who was a game going to the game type person, I would have strong opinions about it.
Yeah. Now that's me too. Like I have backed out of a lot of that argument. Now, when I first heard about PSLs, I thought that was some bullshit. Another thing that they did that I thought was just so stupid is you had Fireman Ed. He's been sitting in the lower, I think about 20-yard line seats, lower tier, the first, what is it? Deck, a lower deck. He was about 10 rows up from, 10, 15 rows up, lower deck for 25 years, and I remember when I had season tickets, I sat across on the 50-yard line in 311, and I used to be able to stare right at him, but so he's been there the whole time. I was staring at him all game, Frankie, but so when he was been there, he's a solid fixture in Jets stadium, Jets games lore, and they moved him to the friggin' end zone. Why? Because they could sell those tickets. That seat was in a place where they could get $100,000 for the ticket, for the license. And I thought that was bullshit, man. It was like, you gotta be able to still keep some of the lore, of the respect to the game itself. It's not all about whining and dining and champagne and business meetings, like when you go, I toured, and I think you said you might have gone there, but I maybe not. I toured Dallas's AT&T Stadium when we were on the coaster tour. We went in and we had a whole tour. We got to play football on the field down there in Dallas. And let me tell you something. As much emphasis as he placed on the what are they called? Like the private rooms. I'm just losing the
suites, the private
suites,
luxury
boxes, right? So as much emphasis as Jerry Jones put on those, you can tell there was even more emphasis. Like they're going to make their money. There was more emphasis on the fan, on the regular everyday fan experience. The whole stadium is geared towards the fans, and you could see it. Now MetLife, you go in, you're like, yeah, they moved Fireman Ed. They moved him to the end zone, dude. Like, how do you do that? Whether you like Fireman Ed or not, he was leading our Jets chants, dude. He's the guy. And you stick him in the end zone? Everybody knows those are the shit seats, man. So Jeff Otis Brown. Oh, wait. Jets New York 102. He says he's on Team Chicken Parm. Better than both. Oh, chicken cutlet. Oh,
I take a chicken cutlet. I'm not going to argue with a chicken cutlet. Somebody offers it to me. I'm not going to turn it away.
I was going to make chicken cutlets this very day, but my kids talked me into pizza, so I put it back. That'll be tomorrow. But, dude, I'm telling you, how many times I've gone to a good deli and I've gotten chicken cutlet on really good bread with fresh mozzarella and sun-dried tomatoes and that. Like, I love a chicken cutlet sandwich, man. So you're on to something, 102. But I think if all three of those are on the table and I can only have one, I still think I'm going meatball parm. If that's the way, that's where me and Frankie are. That's what we're doing. But I'm with you, 102. So is Frankie. Jeff Otis Brown saying green sweaters with a white leather helmet. That's what he's lobbying for, that. Green sweaters and a white leather helmet. I'm with you. No more concussion protocols, right, Jeff?
We're going old school.
That's
We
it.
gotta have a seal here and a seal here, and you run the ball up the alley.
There you go. Right. That's the way it is. That's all it was. And somehow Mark Gastineau got 23 sacks during that era. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about. In one season, we had 2 guys with 20 sacks. Neither of them are in the Hall of Fame. It's complete horseshit, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was an era. That's not now. These guys are dropping back to pass 2 out of every 3 plays these days almost. And it's like, of course you get 20 sacks now. Kevin C checking back in. He says the Staten Island NFL team was the Wise Guys. Is that real, Kevin? Is that real, Frankie?
No.
Do you know?
No, that's not real.
It's not real. I don't know.
Staten Island, you want to know the real name?
Yeah.
The Staten Island Stapletons.
Really? Is that right? It's like, that's very Knickerbocker-esque.
Yeah, back then they used to name teams after weird things like people and companies. Like the Packers are the Packers because they got sponsored by a packing company. And so since they gave them the money, they said, you're going to name it after us. And that's what happened. That's why they're the Packers.
So, and the cheese thing, the cheese Packers just came in because Wisconsin is cheese land.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now, Frankie, we were talking about this the other day. Harry and Iowan Jetsfan and a few other guys, Chris Bradigan. We were talking about why the Jets are green. Now, a lot of people think that it's because Leon Hess.
That's
and
not
Hess
true.
gas stations were green, but that's not true, right? So you know what it is. Can you tell us what it is?
I don't think there is a reason.
There is a reason.
The
No,
owner
there's a
just
reason.
decided to make us green. Well, the original owner, because the
Sonny
original
Werblin.
owner, Sonny Werblin, right? And I thought he just decided to make us green for no reason, just because he liked the color green or something.
Well, it was his affinity for your shirt, which is St. Patty's Day-esque. It was that. It was his connection to St. Patrick's Day. He made the team the color of St. Patrick's Day. That's what it's all about. So that's why we're green.
And that's why we should be called the Fighting Irish or the Shamrocks. Why are we the
Shamrocks.
Jets? So my whole thing is like, why are we the Jets with these colors and these logos? If we want to be St. Patrick's Day, or okay, fine, then we can be green and we should be called the Shamrocks or the, whatever, something like the Leprechauns. We
Well,
fighting Leprechauns.
All right. So let's say, because you have a point here, man. Like, this is not crazy talk, what you're talking about. Right. It was named after St. Patty's Day. The green, the color was inspired by St. Patty's Day. That's a connection to something. So if we were the Leprechauns or the Shamrocks or anything, like, let's say they finally said, you know what? We're going to be what we are, and we're the Shamrocks. How do you feel about that? Or you don't want them to switch the name or anything?
Well, that's a terrible name. I don't mind that. I mean, we all have a connection to the Jets because we've heard it for 40, 50 years, but in reality, it has no connection to anything. If we could find a badass name to be that also fit in with the colors, then I'm fine with that. But now we've had this history. So now you're going to break apart the history of the word Jets.
Yeah.
So
I'm with you.
It's tough that way. It's a lot easier to change your colors and come up with a badass logo and figure out, okay, we're going to keep green in there for the history, but we're going to de-emphasize it and emphasize other colors and just have a real badass logo and a great helmet and all that. So it's easier that way, but just because of the history.
SHAMROCK, Shamrock, no.
Yeah. Fireman Ed would be out of business. He wouldn't know what to do.
So I missed the John Heibendahl super chat. I apologize, Mr. Heibendahl. Please forgive me. That was not intentional, I assure you. He said he just played Madden 22 and the Jets beat the Ravens in an exciting game, one that we saw all healthy players. Could you imagine?
No,
Frankie.
Because I got bad news for you, John.
So we got breaking news, as a matter of fact. So let Frankie tell everybody the big news. Make sure you're listening. If you were zoning out, if you were, eating a cheddar cheese sandwich, come back and listen to this. Frankie's got some big news for week 1 of the NFL New York Jets season.
Now, as reported by Sports Injury Central, this is the football doc. This guy knows, Dr. Chow. This is the best, I think, source on football and all sports injuries in the world. He is almost always right. Headline: from yesterday. Why J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards will struggle in first season back from knee injuries. And then you go on to read. While his appearance at practice is noteworthy, the lack of practice participation signals what the pro football docs have been expecting, that J.K. Dobbins will begin the regular season on the PUP list as he works his way back to 100%. He and his fellow recovery Gus Edwards are unlikely to be available to open the season.
Now,
So that's not something we take great pride in or joy that hey, these guys are still injured. We want everybody to be healthy 100% all the time, but this is news, and it seems like the Ravens will be without J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards for our opening day game.
Now, look, we all talk about this, and whenever we talk about injuries, it's very important to say we don't root for injuries, right?
Nope.
We got to make sure we're clear with that. And that is true, at least for myself. I can't speak for anybody else, but I sincerely don't root for injuries. The way I see it is I would much rather see the best players that are out there play each other. That's what I'd rather see. I'd rather see really intense games with legendary talent and all that shit. But when you find out that the team that has been somewhat of a dominant team over the past 20 years, you're playing them opening day, when you find out that the head of their rushing attack, which is their bread and butter in some respects, is not going to be there. My opinion is I'm allowed to be happy about that. I'm allowed to feel a little bit of relief, because we're going to need a minute to get the engines and get the tires spinning, Frankie. So now, again, I'm not happy or anything like that, but that would be helpful if the Ravens' two running backs, Dobbins and good old Gus, were not available opening day. That would be impactful.
Now, we should also, the other side of the coin is we may get a report from Sports Injury Central tomorrow that, Carl Lawson isn't looking too good. And
I know
Jamian Sherwood maybe is behind schedule.
And Becton and LaMarcus Joyner won't make it.
Yeah, right. So, you never know, but this is just breaking news as of, I saw it today. I think it came out yesterday. So it's just new information, and it's not looking good for these two gentlemen for the beginning of the year. Yeah,
that's interesting. So in Heibendahl's game, though, they were playing, and the Jets still beat them. And that's, and the thing with Madden, right, is that they try really hard to rate the players in accordance with their on-the-field talent, who they really are, right? They try to do that. So when you look at our team, and this will go into the David Carr interview, Frankie. I'm not sure if you've heard the David Carr intervw. Did you hear it? I
heard
Rich
part
Eisen?
of it.
It's fantastic.
I heard the clip. Was there a longer part of the clip?
No. I mean, there was some more of the interview, but the stuff that we're going to want to talk about is it's like a 6-minute video or something along those lines on the Rich Eisen show. But it's fantastic. But what they're saying with this Madden game that Heibendahl experienced is like, hey, feelings aside, when you put the talent of this team versus the talent of that team, dude, they're much more evenly matched than you think. I know everybody thinks Ravens, of course. There's not a single Ravens fan, purple wearing Ravens fan. There's not one that's nervous about week one. Not that's one. True. I'm telling you, every single Ravens.
How can you blame them? But
how could you blame them?
It's been a decade of futility for us, and for them, they've been one of the model franchises. So of course, I don't blame them.
Right. So why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they feel that way? But the truth is, quietly, without many people really knowing, the Jets have built a very talented young roster. And like David Carr said, he said, look, when you look at these guys that they brought in, they're more talented than you think. He said, look at AVT and Becton. They added Laken Tomlinson. Look at these tight ends they brought in and then drafted Rucker. He said, and that's not even talking about the defense. He said, Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore. He loves Zach Wilson. He talked about how the Jets made the decision to just throw the whole offense at Zach Wilson last year and let him learn trial by fire. That's what they did. So when we, right? Like, and we talked about this, Frankie, a lot of us all through the season last year, we thought, like, we contemplated why the Jets are giving him everything. Like, why not work him in with, 15 plays that he's comfortable with and let him get confident and all that sort. The Jets decided not to do that. They decided, hey, put on your big boy pants and pack a lunch because it's going to be a long day. So that's what they did.
The question really is with that is like, is that the right approach? Because you could say, listen, we're down to the studs rebuild anyway. No matter what we do, this kid isn't going to light it up year one. Maybe he could have done 10% better, 20% better. What difference would that have made if this way causes a big leap? And that's the big if. If, and the proof will be in the pudding. If he takes a big leap this year, then we'll know that was the right way to go. But if he still stinks, then maybe not.
Maybe not. Maybe he's damaged, right? That's the whole thing. And I think that's the concern. Look, here's my take. All right. And you guys know I'm just an old man sitting in a camper. You know what I mean? But here's my take. I was concerned about it specifically because we just watched Sam Darnold become a tentative, shell-shocked quarterback. We saw that. He was bailing out of the pocket in a panic when there was no one there. You know what I mean? And that's the stuff that starts to happen. Once you see a quarterback get happy feet in their pocket, they say that's real. Once they get that, it's very hard to reverse. So we watched that happen with Sam Darnold. So I'm a little shell-shocked. So I was concerned that the Jets wouldn't, that they would do that to another quarterback. And then, his whole young career is now tainted by the trauma of year one. But I think if you look at the type of person Zach Wilson is, he's known as aggressive. David Carr, the word that he used for him was fearless. He's known as intelligent. He's a bookworm. He's a film study guy. Like he's got that, that drive and that work ethic. And I guess they made that decision that this guy's character can handle that. He's going to have his rough times, but we're going to support him. We're going to get him through it. And look at the end of the season, he had 1 interception in 6 games, and so there was a settling down. There was a calming down of Zach Wilson in the second half of the season. Now, David Carr, the way he said it was, he thinks it's a great plan. He thinks it's a fantastic idea to kind of, let him learn that way, because now when he comes into a team and he's got an offensive line and he's got legitimate open wide receivers and tight ends and running backs all over the place, it's going to be easy for him. You know what I mean? It's going to be more comfortable. So that's an interesting thing. We'll have to see.
If he's right, I mean, this could be the most fun season ever because people are sleeping on us.
Yeah.
And if it turns out that he makes that big leap because of all this, it could be a really fun season.
Yeah. Tell me about it. Now,
but then again, you have people like Brady Quinn saying the opposite. So I don't know. David Carr, okay, it's nice to hear, but that's one opinion. Brady Quinn's another opinion.
But here's the difference, and I'm with you. Here's the difference just with these two men and these two batches of comments. David Carr was speaking from a position of actually doing research. You could tell he knew what he was talking about. Okay, Brady Quinn spoke in generalities. I'm not a fan of Zach Wilson. Like David Carr went through specifics of Zach Wilson, his background. Like it was a different take, but I'm with you. But David Carr's interview was impressive. If you guys haven't heard it yet, it's on the Rich Eisen show. So you can just type in David Carr, Rich Eisen, and you'll get there. But it's really worth a listen. And here's the best thing he said. I didn't even get to the best thing, Frankie. He said that the Jets have collected a whole bunch of young talent that doesn't know they're supposed to suck. They don't know that they're not supposed to make the playoffs as the New York Jets. They're just coming in. They're they're talented. They're winners. They're the whole thing. And you got a whole bunch of young winners on the field, and they don't care that Mike McCagnon sucked or that John Idzik was an accountant. They don't care that they took Calvin Pryor over Brandon Cooks. They don't care about a butt fumble, 12 years ago.
And combine that with what Michael Carter said today or yesterday. Michael Carter said, well, wasn't sure because I was a rookie last year, but what I learned last year is I'm in a room of guys who will go to war with me, and I will go to war with them. and we will go to war together. And when you have that, and he said, I learned that last year, this group of guys, we're going to war for each other, and we're going to war every week. And that is the type of thing, when you combine that with the talent that David Carr is saying, okay, it's great to go to war, but you better be talented. You better have some good soldiers out there. Right. You can't just go to war and be all attitude. You got to actually know what you're doing. But so then when you combine it with what David Carr is saying, well, now you have something, perhaps. I mean, we really could have something, and we really could.
This is, now, look, we always want to preface this, right, with we don't know what it's going to be. We don't even know if Salah can coach yet, really. You know what I mean? We don't. I mean, I liked some of I think he grew last year a little bit, you know?
I mean, it's only so much he could screw it up, though. If we're running plays and have the talent and we're executing, I mean, all right, maybe he calls a timeout in the wrong spot. I mean, is it going to really hurt that much?
Maybe he gets a delay of game on 4th and 1 with the game on the line, stuff like that.
Just one time. It is one time.
Yeah, I know. It was only once. You know what's funny about that, Frankie, is that he clearly did that big mess up, right? Big faux pas. He made a mistake. It was a terrible mistake. 1 week later, a similar scenario came up where he called the timeout, and half of Jetnation was like, this fucking guy calling timeouts, wasting timeouts.
Yeah, but you know what? If all of that happens in a season and you win the game, everybody goes, oh, this guy's a genius with his timeouts. Like,
yep.
It's all in it's all in the context of, did you win? I mean, that's one of the reasons that get a little frustrated with people in Bill Belichick. I mean, I understand he has 6 rings, people say. That's all they ever say. And therefore, everything he does then must be genius. Like, it must be genius because he has 6 rings. Meanwhile, all 6 rings were with Tom Brady, and his record without Tom Brady is under 500. So where's his rings without Tom Brady?
They're missing. He doesn't have any, you know, right. And
so, he's got, everybody looks at every decision he makes and says, that's a genius decision by a genius, best ever head coach.
Right.
All because he's won, because of his record and his rings.
That's right. And even the decision to kick it in an overtime coin toss that they won,
right.
He tried to say that was that was the plan.
That was the plan all along.
That was the plan all along, you know, and we just watched that game with the Beanbaggers last month, the 2015 Jets-Patriots overtime that sent us to Buffalo with a 10-5 record and holding our destiny in our own hands. And that's where it stops. We're not going to talk anymore. I don't have time. I continue, but I don't have time. But yeah. So LT checks in, man, and he says the Jets had great home field advantage in Shea Stadium. Teams hated to play there. The thing was Shea, and I'm only speaking from research, and I've never been to Shea, right? The thing at Shea was it felt like an aggressive crowd, you know, and I remember the last season at Shea. Like I that's what I remember. I remember when the Jets fans, the last game at Shea, they ran on the field and tore the goalposts down and every fucking thing. Like, you know, I mean, maybe if there's anybody here who has a chunk of the grass or you got something from Shea, let us know. Take a picture. I'd love to put you up there and get you arrested or something. But you know, that was an amazing place to play. The problem was it had dirt and had the, you know, the baseball diamond on it and all that stuff. You know, and I can understand the reasoning with moving from a dilapidated Shea Stadium over to crispy, brand spanking new Giants Stadium. But man, that was just a kick in the nuts for us for a long time. You gave the crosstown rivals fans an easy low blow for 20 years. You play in our house. Shut up. You play when you guys walk into your home stadium, it says Giants along the top of it. And that sucked. It did. I loved the stadium, loved it. I grew up in that stadium. I've been there for everything from circuses to fucking games to monster trucks to concerts. You know, I was always there, but it sucked every time walking in that place and staring at that damn Giants sign. It sucked. Make no mistake. But yeah, I'd love to get our home field advantage back, man. J.E. Allen checking in with the orange super chat. Very, very special color super chat, Frankie. Thank you, J.E. Allen. Sorry it took us a little while to get to it. We're just working down the line here. He says, hey, GreenBean and Frankie, Becton concerns me. I realize he recently had a kid, but he has to show up for his brother, show support. He doesn't have to practice, just show up. Thoughts? What do you think of that, Frankie? I mean, J.E. Allen's expressing concerns that, he's clearly not alone. I mean, there are others that feel the same way. So I don't think you're acting crazy. But what do you think of this take, Frankie?
Well, would you abandon your newborn child to go do optional work when you are in the middle of rehabbing with Duke Manyweather, the best offensive line trainer in the world? I don't think you would. I mean, so I would not advocating abandoning a newborn baby just to go do, just to attend some meetings. No. So I'm not concerned with it. He's working with Duke Manyweather. Duke Manyweather's the best offensive line trainer in the world. The Jets have signed off on his training program. Not a problem. And so, no, he'll be back for mini camp, and we'll be good to go. Not a problem.
Yeah, and I can appreciate the sentiment, like, for his brothers, right? Like, let's at least show some solidarity and all that kind of stuff. I do understand it, but let me put out, I'm going to bring out my old rickety scale. I'm going to put it on the table here, okay? Here's the table, here's the scale, and we're going to put the value. You got voluntary optional practices that are non-contact, but the benefit is, people see you, they know you're around, all the new guys. And so you put that here, and you put next to that the first 2 or 3 weeks with your newborn, your first child, your wife, that connection, that postpartum period that you're there to support your wife or girlfriend. They're not technically married, but that 3-week period, the first 3 weeks of being a dad, what do you think outweighs the other in the grand scheme of things? That's how I look at it. Selfishly, I would prefer if Mekhi Becton was there. I'm not worried about it, but I feel exactly like Frankie just said. When I look at the logical, what's real, I feel the exact same way as what Frankie just expressed. But selfishly, I would prefer that Mekhi Becton's there, if for nothing else, just to shut everybody up, the Saminis, and just shut the fuck up already. I wish I could shut up the beat. But when you look at it in very real life terms, this is voluntary. And if there's anything that would cause you to miss voluntary, legitimately, it's got to be becoming a father for the first time. You know what I mean? It's his first ever child. He's 22 years old. This is a period of time you never get back. It happens once. It's like a guy that I like. I won't bring his name out because he's controversial, but a guy that I like, he said, you only are the parent of a child for 4 years, like a toddler. You're only a toddler parent for 4 years. That's it. It's like you think, oh, I have kids till they're 18, and you only have that little innocent period of time for 4 years. That's it. If you blow it, if you're working all the time, it's gone. You can never replicate that. So I think, good for you, bro. Again, selfishly, I'd like him to be there, but good for him. That's what I think, J.E. I think Frankie and I are on the same page. Now, if he was just sitting around eating nachos, I'd have a problem. Yeah, I'd have a problem. Before I get to the next super chat, I want to bring up the Ring of Honor. We got sucked into this vortex. Let's just real quick. We're going to go over our Ring of Honor inductees in full appreciation and celebration of the 3 new additions: Darrelle Revis, Nick Mangold, and DeBrickashaw Ferguson. They are all, as of this week, announced to be on the Ring of Honor, and I couldn't be happier. There's nothing in me that has any disagreement with those 3 players making it to the Ring of Honor. So let's see who else we got. We have our great head coach, and even though here it says trainer, he was the trainer at the time, Weeb Eubank, the coach of Super Bowl III champion Jets. We have Mark Gastineau, so at least he has that, right? He's not in the Hall of Fame, but he is in the Ring of Honor. We have Larry Grantham, who was a linebacker from 1960 to 1972. He was on the Super Bowl III team. Winston Hill, the great Hall of Fame, the late great Winston Hill. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame last year, 1963 to 1976. He was also on the Super Bowl III team. We have Gastineau's counterpart, Joe Klecko. He played with us for 10 years as well, 77 to 87. Curtis Martin, who is in the Hall of Fame, running back. He played for us from 98 to 2006. So what's that? 8 years, I guess it is. Is that what that is? Yeah, 8 years. It's just such a shame with Curtis because that last year, if he would have got 1,000 yards, he would have been the first and only player in NFL history to have his 11 straight seasons with 1,000 yards, and he ended up getting hurt with like 600 or 800 yards. Isn't that a bummer, Frankie?
Yeah,
it sucks. So we have now these two. We'll always talk about them together. Their numbers are retired, and they are both Hall of Fame Super Bowl III attendants. So they were wide receiver Don Maynard and quarterback Joe Namath. Then we have my favorite offensive weapon of my whole childhood. There's nobody, as much as I like other guys, nobody touches this one. And that is running back Freeman McNeil, who was with us for 11 years, number 24. So if they retire 24, technically speaking, Freeman McNeil's number is retired. I like that. I like how that feels.
They could double retire it. Let me say this too. The Giants have like 15 people with retired numbers. We have 5.
Yeah.
What is going on? Let's retire all these. What about Wesley Walker? His number should be retired. How about Al Toon, Freeman McNeil, right? All these people.
I agree. Why not, man? So the next guys on the list are actually those guys. Al Toon, he played with us from 85 to 92, a great wide receiver, number 88. Wesley Walker played with us for 12 years, 77 to 89, number 85. Marty Lyons, another Sack Exchange member.
Marty Lyons,
the Alabama alum, and he's still very interwoven with the New York Jets. He's still around with Marty Lyons Foundation and all that jazz. Then we have Wayne Corbett. A lot of guys, remember that fella. 95 to 2005, we got 10 years of Wayne Corbett. We got Leon Hess, the owner, from 1968 to 1999. He owned the team until he died. His passing. Not to say it like that, but that's the truth. Emerson Boozer, another running back from Super Bowl III, 66 to 75, so 9 years of Emerson Booner. Matt Snell, 64 to 72, another 8 years Super Bowl III guy. And Kevin Mawai, a center from 98 to 2005. So that is an impressive list, though, man. Obviously some of the guys like Larry Grantham, I admittedly 1960, I don't know about that guy, but I would say 90% of those guys, not only do I know, I love them. Like they're parts of my fandom, Frankie. Anybody on there that you don't think should be?
No, we should have more. We really need to celebrate our history more, and we need to retire more numbers. And I think we're slacking. I mean, Donovan McNabb has his number retired from the Eagles. Was he that great? He was great, but was he?
Got him to a Super Bowl and 4 NFC Championship games.
Well,
so
that's pretty good.
It's pretty good. That's our whole history. That's our entire history right there.
I mean, but you don't think of him like Reggie White has his number retired by the Eagles. Of course, Reggie White. You think Reggie White, okay, that guy was dominant. Was Donovan McNabb dominant? I don't know. Maybe I'm underselling Donovan McNabb.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he was top of the league for for many years. I mean, they had Donovan McNabb. I liked Donovan McNabb. I thought he was good. And, Philly fans, I have a lot of, not a lot, but I have a few Philly fan friends, and they're very similar to us in their angst, right? In their aggressive way of expressing such angst. And a lot of them hated Donovan McNabb. Like they felt like, he's great, but he's a loser. You know what I mean? He's like a Tony Romo. He never knows how to, every year he's among the elites statistically, but when it's time to win the big game, he doesn't do it. So that kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think so too. I think a guy like Al Toon or maybe Wesley Walker, I think they would be warranted to retire their number. Maybe they have like a floor, Frankie. Maybe they have a statistical floor per position or something like that. Who knows? Thomas Cahill checking in. What's up, Thomas? He says they named the team Jets because of the newly built Kennedy Airport. Right. It was actually LaGuardia, though, wasn't it? I think it was LaGuardia. Maybe I have that wrong. The LaGuardia planes fly over or right next to Shea, I think.
Yeah. Well, was LaGuardia Airport green or what?
Or were the buildings gray?
Like that's the whole point. It's like, okay, if we're gonna go Jets, then let's be Jetty. If we're gonna go Shamrocks, then let's be the Shamrock. You know what I mean? Like It's just
Yeah.
disconnected. It's just disconnected.
I do get it, man. I really do. And Thomas, if it's Kennedy or LaGuardia, either way, there's probably there's a chance you're correct and I'm wrong. But either way, you're right. It was about the jets. You know what I mean? The jets flying around in the area and all that stuff. So, yeah, I mean that makes sense. But Frankie's point is valid. It's like, okay, well, if you're going to be the Jets, how about some colors? To have that. I guess it's kind of a indicative, or it's a good measuring stick for our whole our whole history, Frankie. It's like we're the Jets, but we're colored after shamrocks. You know what I mean? There's no real connection there other than some guy happened to like both of them. You know what I mean? That's it. Sonny Wortman's like, oh yeah, I love those Jets. Oh, I love the color green. And that's what it is. Here we are. Better than the Browns, though. I think it's better than the Browns.
At least we're not the Staten Island Stapletons.
Yeah, at least. Buffalo checking in. He says, the Buffalo Shamrocks fan. Well, there goes my channel. Yeah, there you go. The Shamrock Chaos with Jeremy. At least Frankie's still good. Frankie's safe, no matter what we do.
Here's a trivia question. I'm looking at these retired numbers. Can you name the 3 numbers that have been retired for the 3 players for the Miami Dolphins? The Dolphinians. They've only got 3. Name the players.
It is Dan Marino, Larry Zonka, and Mark Clayton.
Incorrect.
Super duper.
You got 2 out of 3. No. Nope.
Yeah, pretty good. My Dolphins history. What era?
Long time ago.
Era. Yeah. Right. Don Shula, bro. His number 1.
Nope. Although they should. Why isn't Don Shula retired? Because like the Seattle Seahawks retired the number 12 for the 12 fans. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. Interesting.
Yeah, that's what it says here. Fans.
Well, nobody has. You know what? I actually think that's very smart. That's a great marketing move, man.
Right.
No one has number 12 because you guys are number 12. That makes sense. That's somebody who's thinking up there. Pete Carroll.
And speaking of number 12, the Dolphins have the number 12 retired for Bob Greasy.
Bob Greasy. That's good. That's good. It would really take me a lot to get to unearth that name from Dolphins history. But I was saying, man, I had Larry Zonka and Danny Boy. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that.
Not bad. Everybody's saying hello to my Aunt Gina in the crowd here. Well, then, Frankie, I had the ability to. My Aunt Gina was going to be able to come with us to the opening day game. I was going to introduce her to everybody, but as things do, they changed and things happened where scheduling stuff couldn't happen, and I won't see her that weekend. Wow. It's a bummer. I was excited to have Aunt Gina in tow with me, but anyway, I think you're going to go, right, Gene? You said you're going to go to the preseason Giants-Jets game, so that's always fun too. New York 102 or Jets New York 102. Thank you for the super chat. He says, in my opinion, we got the best running back and wide receiver in the draft, plus Carter and Moore in year 2. That alone should be enough to be in playoff contention. If Zach Wilson can play, hell yeah.
I mean, can we block? I mean, do we have to block first? I think we have to block first. Can we block?
Yeah, that's important too. But I get your point. These are talented people, more talented than we've had. Now, Garrett Wilson, as you guys know, I was not a fan of taking a wide receiver at 10. I thought it was likely that it would happen, but I explored a lot of other things. But I have been on record as saying, if we're going to take a wide receiver at 10, I hope it's Garrett Wilson. So I'm happy. I think that in this year's class, he's probably the number 1. If at worst, he's the number 2 or 3. So I think it was a good move, especially adding Breece Hall in the second to Elijah Moore and Michael Carter. I mean, shit, man, we're committing to the weapons, and that's good to hear. Frankie.
Sorry.
Oh, no, please go on. I was going to switch gears.
Mention how much better our wide receivers going to be because they have to face off against DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner all day long. I mean, DJ Reed was talking about Elijah Moore. I mean, how smart is DJ Reed, by the way? kid's a freaking cornerback genius. He's talking about,
Yeah.
his 2 yards is 2-yard splits off the number and the tendency of the wide receiver. When you do that, very rarely will go outside, but Elijah can do it because of his speed. I was like, Jesus Christ, this kid, like and how much better is that going to make Elijah? And how much better is Elijah going to make DJ and Sauce and Garrett and Corey and everybody?
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. Like, this saying, we used it a lot last year with Becton and Lawson, but it's an old saying that is very, very accurate. Iron sharpens iron. That's a very true thing. If you're playing against a schlub all day, every day, and then you get into a game and you got a stud, he's going to kick your ass all day. So I like it, man. That's the thing. When you raise the talent, practicing against each other, that stuff matters, man. That stuff matters. But I'm with you. Frankie, did you happen to listen to Kerwin today?
No.
They had Leon O'Neal on the the fullback from the Chargers. Okay. They had him on, and they were talking about the importance of the fullback, like the impact when you have a good fullback, what it does for the team. And they were telling a story. I think one of his coaches or something was on first. And he said there was a story with a young, like he was kind of like a late round linebacker, and he was trying to make the team and the whole thing. And they did the Oklahoma drill. And Leon O'Neal came around the lineman and literally knocked the guy 5 feet, like backwards. And he landed on his back and was like dizzy and everything. And the coach walked over to him. He said, this is true. The coach walked over and said, you got a great education at Washington State. I think you might want to use it instead of playing football. You know what I mean? Isn't that great? What a great comment. And Pat Kerwin said, oh yeah, we used to say that all the time. That you can tell right away with a lot of players, like they think they're going to be able to make the team and they might be talented, but then when they go against your real players, you see it right away. Like there are some guys, they do not belong. It's just, they're not at that level and they know instantly. You know what I mean? It was a funny story though, man.
And combine that with what Michael Carter said about Nick Bawden. Did you hear what Michael Carter said about Nick?
No,
Bawden?
I didn't. What'd he say?
So that dude would cut his own head off to block you. He does not he does not care about his body at all. He will sacrifice his body for a block. He was just so impressed with Nick Bawden, and nobody knows about Nick Bawden. I've been talking about him, saying this is a big improvement over Trevon Wesco, who we were trying to convert to fullback. Well, we got a real fullback, a guy who will cut his own head off to block you. I mean, come on now. And then
that's what fullbacks,
with, the importance of, this guy's saying the importance thereof is having a guy like that, and we got one.
Yeah, amazing. And that's the thing. When you have a fullback, like a legitimate fullback, they can really change everything. And they talk about like a vet fullback's benefit to young running backs. It's like the young running backs, they know that even if they're a little confused on the offense, just stay to the hip of the fullback. That's what you do, and he'll get you there. That's the safe lane. Just stick with him and go where he goes. And a guy like a Leon O'Neal, or like we've had some good fullbacks in our day, whether it's, Brad Baxter, obviously Tony Richardson. We have the Richie Andersons, the Gerald Souls. I mean, these guys were legit fullbacks, man. And they had impact all over the field, whether it's the passing game and obviously, making running lanes and all that. But the Jets, I'm actually happy to see that they committed to the fullback and kept Bawden. I did think that they were going to grab an undrafted free agent. I forget his name right now, but there was a guy that I couldn't believe made it to undrafted free agency. I thought they were going to grab him, but they seem to like Bawden, man. They gave him $1 million contract, and here he is, so I like it. Thomas Cahill checking in. He said, wait, oh no, we did that one. Oh, he said, wait, did we? Becton really concerns me. I hope Max is good. Yeah, again, Thomas, I understand the concern. I do, but I think this is much to do of nothing. I mean, players get injured. He's 22 years old. He was a dominant offensive lineman in college. He was dominant his rookie year. He got rolled on. Did he take longer to come back? Maybe, but maybe Saleh shouldn't have said fucking 6 to 8 weeks. Yeah. Maybe if he didn't say that, there would not even be this shit. It's just that they put that expectation out there.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, and there's concern about everybody. This is football. You know who gets hurt? Everybody gets hurt. Coach Vrabel said the percentage of NFL football players who get injured is 100%.
Yeah, right. 100%. And look, again, is there, can I say that you shouldn't be concerned at all? No, of course we're concerned. He had a season ending injury, but like the concern that we have, especially when, Thomas, think about this. And this is something you've probably heard me say before, but we have Carl Lawson, who has now had 3 season ending injuries, 3 of them, 2 knees and an Achilles. And he's 27 or whatever he is. Nobody's concerned about Carl Lawson, like at least to the same degree. Becton's 22 years old and has had 1 major injury. 1. And it's like we're freaking out. Now, I hope Max is good too, but I think Becton's going to be fine, man. And even if they might even end up bringing in another tackle for swing tackle this year, but I don't know. I don't have the same concern. I understand where you guys are coming from, but Becton is an absolute stud, man, and he's an animal, and we saw it. Dude, he completely neutralized some of the best pass rushers in the game, and that's real. He did that on an NFL field, so not in preseason or anything. So Mark Riz, I'm sorry I slid by your super chat. I actually saw the comment. My bad, buddy. But here we are. He goes, spicy Italian sausage, butterflied on the grill it's crispy, Frankie, on a hard roll with little peppers and a little onion. Game over. Boom. Game over. What do you think about a good, done sausage and peppers, huh?
I take it. Give me a spicy anything. I take it. I love it. I like a spicy. Give me a spicy sausage, a spicy meatball. I take it. Then I'm not going to say no to any of these.
Yeah. I'll tell you, man, he's got it too. Like the way that Riz is talking about it. That's my favorite way to have a sausage and peppers. Butterflied on the grill. It's got to get the charred ends and the whole thing. It's like, oh my God. That was one of our staples. Like all the tailgates that I've had, Frankie, we would always, like we would have burgers sometimes. We'd have wings sometimes. We had sausage every single time. I mean, maybe once or twice in the 15 years of tailgating, maybe once or twice we didn't have sausage, was always there. Sometimes we'd go patties, Mark, sometimes. But that was when we had to move quick. You know what I mean? But usually we'd get the links and split them ourselves and the whole thing. I'm with you, buddy. I'm with you. Maybe now I want one. I'm going to have to make sausage.
I know. That's what I'm just thinking. Tomorrow, I'm going to have to get some of these sandwiches tomorrow. Thanks a lot, everybody. I'm going to have 17 sandwiches in my apartment.
Yeah. Shit. I got to catch up here. Wait a minute. Where are we? I just got lost in the chat. So you guys are awesome tonight. Let's, Wat2K's hanging out, and he's got some trivia for us tonight. I'm going to get him on here. We got a few more super chats. If he's ready, Wat2K, Wicker Media, man. New York sports, Wicker Media. You guys have seen him in the chat. Let's not forget to support our boy. Are you ready to come on, Wat2K? Yeah. Okay. Let's bring on Wat2K. He'll help us out with the super chats and some trivia. What's happening, Wicker Man?
I'm doing great, Green Bean. Frankie, how you boys doing tonight?
Well, if your trivia this time is about retired numbers, I can answer because I got the Ring of Honor right here.
Yeah,
about the Ring of Honor. Oh, right. Okay, so
yeah, we're nailing it. We're really doing some deep diving on the retired numbers and Ring of Honor guys. So very true. Frankie's learning every retired number in the league right now. He's telling. Yeah.
The Cincinnati Bengals. Guess how many retired numbers the Cincinnati Bengals have?
Oh, it's like 2. It's not many.
Yeah, 1.
It's either one. It's only 1.
1. Is it Boomer?
No.
Anthony Munoz.
No.
Munoz. Oh, no. Incredible.
Bob Johnson.
Of course.
Dude.
Bob Johnson.
From what era is that? The 1950s?
He played from 1968 through 79. Apparently.
Bob Johnson.
Wow.
That's what it says here.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
You're talking about a franchise that has not celebrated its history in the past. It's the Bengals.
Yeah, they should.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they need to retire some numbers, man. I mean, why wouldn't you retire, Anthony Munoz? I mean, for at least.
I know.
Have you seen his finger? Yeah, have you seen? He has like one of those fingers. Sorry to be gross, but like the pinky is here, and then it's like a letter. It forms like a right angle. They should have like a handprint of that finger,
right,
somewhere in the stadium.
You're right, though.
Baldinger has that too. Brian Baldinger. One of his fingers is like.
Oh
Yeah.
boy, that is a Baldy's breakdown if I've ever seen one.
That's a finger breakdown.
Oh, what is it if Anthony Munoz doesn't get his number retired for the Bengals? What is it going to take?
That's
What does it take?
outrageous.
Maybe they just don't believe
What
in
did
it.
Bob Johnson do that was so much better than Munoz?
Take a look at his stats.
I
Frankie,
never
what do you
heard
got?
of Bob
You got some Bob
Johnson.
Johnson?
Bob
I don't even know who that
Johnson,
is.
The legendary Bob Johnson. He was
Yeah.
what was he? He was center. He was a center. I don't know. 6'5", 262-pound center.
Yeah, back then when 260 was mammoth.
Next week on the Thursday show, special guest Bob Johnson.
Bob
Yeah.
Johnson. He's 75 years old at the moment.
Oh, wow. Good for him. Yeah.
All right.
But it's funny. I remember, I believe our first over 300-pound lineman was a big round guy named Dwayne White. Do you guys remember him? Number 67. And it was a big deal that he was like 301. It was like, dude, we have a 300-pound guy on our line. It was a big deal back in the Cadigan Criswell days. Now, if you're not 300, you're considered light.
Yeah.
Different era. BDB checking in. Boogie Down Bronx. What's up, buddy? He says the Jets can be like the New York Rangers of this year. Rangers got no respect, and look where they're at. Let's go, New York Jets. Stay healthy. What's okay? What do you think? You think, and this is one of the things that they were talking to DJ Reed about. And he said, why can't we go to the playoffs? He said, I was on the 49ers team that had the second overall pick. They were 4-12. Next year, we're Super Bowl. So he's not just talking out of his ass. He's like, I've done it. Why can't we do it? What do you think of what Boogie Down Bronx is saying here? Can we have that kind of a turnaround, you think?
It's possible. You could see for several years the New York Rangers were slowly accumulating talent. They were very direct with their fans. They had sent out a letter, I believe in 2018, saying, we're going to trade some guys. We're going to lose some fan favorites. It's not going to be fun, but we feel we've reached the end of an era, and we have to start over to give you what you want. We want to do this correctly. And that's exactly what they've done. And last year, they didn't even make the playoffs. This year, they've not only made it, they're 7 wins away from the Stanley Cup. So I thought at the beginning of this year, and I'm a Rangers fan, I was thinking they would make the wild card. I figured they would get a playoff spot, but be right on the edge of it. They have the second best record in their division. I was there for Game 7 against Carolina Memorial Day night, which was just one of the best sports experiences I've ever had in a live arena. Unbelievable.
I bet, man. I bet. And that building's so
amazing.
Great, man. I love that whole arena, man. I love it there.
Yeah, of course, the fans walked out with 10 minutes left in the third period, and we took it over. But we won't hold that against them.
Hey, right? You got to be careful leaving early. You got to be careful. I mean, you go to the place hoping for a great sports moment, and you leave with 10 minutes left. Like you're don't leave before the miracle happens, man. And it did. And look, you got to stay though, right?
Oh yeah. Well, the Rangers pretty much they were up early. They were up 2-0, and at that point we pretty much had a good feeling what was going to happen. There were so many Rangers fans in that arena, but Carolina scored a goal here and there, but Carolina hadn't lost a home game in the playoffs. They were, I think, 7-0 in home playoff games, and they lost.
Oh, you know what? Let me admit something. I had it reversed. You went down, yeah. So it's okay to help me. It's okay. I was and I'm thinking, wait, something's not connecting here for me. But I was saying I love the Garden, and then I was wondering why they left and the whole thing. I had it flipped. So my bad.
The game
Still
was in
great
Raleigh.
though.
Yeah,
in Raleigh.
Yes,
nice.
But the Jets are doing. I'm sorry, but the Jets are doing the same thing the Rangers did. We knew there was not a letter sent out, but we knew that they were slowly accumulating the draft picks, the talent. They were making these unbelievable trades. It's all leading to right now. Now, I'm not saying this is a team that's going to make the AFC Championship game, but there is no reason in my mind. I don't care how good the conference is. If few things go right, they could absolutely be in the hunt for a wild card spot towards the end of the season.
And there's precedent. I mean, you don't even have to go to the San Francisco 49ers that DJ Reed talked about. But what about the Cincinnati Bengals last year? Before last year, they had 4 wins and a rookie quarterback. And then they got people, they go to the Super Bowl. What did we have? 4 wins and a rookie quarterback. And what about the Philadelphia Eagles before last year? They had 4 wins and Jalen Hurts, who was a half rookie or whatever you want to call him. And Then they won. Then last year they won 9 games and went to the playoffs. They got gobsmacked by the Buccaneers, but still an overall positive year for the Eagles. So there's plenty of precedence for 4 wins, young quarterback, and then you build around him, and then you take a jump.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. Like you're both saying. I mean, there is precedent. We're not talking about, hey, there's a first time for everything. Like, we're not even saying that. And when you look at our team, it's not that far-fetched. If we do the miraculous, which is this, if this happens, if we actually show up to opening day with all of our starters, like the team that we built, actually making it to the games, if that happens, if our fortunes turn around and we don't have the decimating injuries and stuff, I think that we can probably beat anybody. There's enough talent on this team. Now, it's young, it's inexperienced. We're probably going to lose a lot of games without the ability to close it out in the end, and we got to learn to win. At the same time, I think there's a realistic avenue to explore to get the Jets to the playoffs. Now, it's going to be a tough record. David Carr, Frankie, also said clearly the NFL is trying to screw the Jets. He said, why would they give them those first 10 games? Why? So it's nice to hear somebody outside of our world say that too. He said, come on, man, look at that brutal. They couldn't give him 1 Jaguars, 1 Detroit, 1 Bears. They couldn't do that one. They couldn't give him 1 game on the front half of the season. But he said, yeah, it looks like the NFL's out to get the Jets, was how he said it.
Good.
So,
and I say,
yeah.
Good. Keep sleeping on us.
That's right. That's what I think. Oh,
keep
I'm
sleeping
so
on
ready.
us, and you're gonna wake up in a nightmare, baby.
You wake up in a body bag. But yeah, Boogie Down, I think that's a good point, man. And I think the energy around the Jets is positive right now. And it has a lot of guys that believe. Again, they don't know that they're supposed to suck. This isn't what McCagnon built. McCagnon went out there and overpaid guys who wouldn't have come here without that much money. When they come, they get a little ankle twist. They're like, why would I play? No, I'm hurt. There's no, desire to overcome. Avery Williamson came out I think it was this week, right? And he said,
he did.
Yeah. What did he say, Wat2K, exactly? Avery Williamson, our big time linebacker that McCagnon brought in.
He thought he was going to the Colts. It was the Colts and one other team, but then the Jets came in with an offer. I believe it was 3 years, $22 million. And he said, whoa, this team really wants me that bad? It's like, I got to go after the money. But he did not expect to go to the Jets. And, good guy, good Jet. He was there for the media and whatnot. He seemed like a good, engaging guy that cared. And he had a nice season, but then he tore his ACL in the preseason, and let's be honest, he was never heard from again.
Right. Essentially. Now, look, remember the big deal that year was, and when Gase's first year was, we are going to have possibly the best middle linebacker duo in the league. Avery Williamson and CJ Mosley. Yeah. So, and don't forget, guys, forget this. Avery Williamson actually had better stats than CJ Mosley. They were very parallel, but they were actually better stats. Now, Williamson was on a worse team, so there's all that. But to have those two guys together was going to be something to behold, and we didn't get to see it for one play. Not one play. They were never on the field together outside of those first couple preseason games. We didn't get to see one play of that duo. But that's the thing. McCagnon went out there and paid people more money to come to a shitty team. Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh are not doing that. They're going out there and they're building their own team with guys who believe in themselves and guys who they don't care about our history. And I think that's going to be the difference. Now, Ice Storm checking in. I had to put this comment in before I get to the next super chat. He says, Mo Lewis needs to be in the Ring of Honor. I could not agree more. I really, yeah, it bothers me that everybody whittles his whole entire 12-year Jets career down to one play where he fucking destroyed a Super Bowl level quarterback in Drew Bledsoe, ripped his head off. And at the time, not one Jets fan said, oh, this is bad. This is bad. Everybody said, fuck yeah. Like everybody was mad. It just so happened that a Hall of Famer came in off the bench. You know what I mean? Nobody knew that, but making that like that's his whole career. He's arguably the best linebacker that we've ever had. And he was good at run support, pass rushing, coverage. He was good at everything, man. And I agree. I think Mo Lewis should be in there, man. It's sad that he's not. He's one of my all-time favorites. So I couldn't pass that comment here.
I mean, Mo Lewis, 3-time Pro Bowler only. You wonder why is that? I think he got screwed 3 times.
Yeah, he
only
did.
3 times Pro Bowler, 1-time All Pro. But I mean, anybody who's a Jet who was an All Pro definitely should go in the Ring of Honor. I mean, come on, we're the
Agreed.
Jets.
Agreed.
Does that mean Braxton Berrios is next?
Braxton, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, right. Stick him
He's
in
all
there.
pro.
I'll tell you what.
It's just the Ring of Honor. It's not even retiring the number.
But once they put you in the Ring of Honor, it's forever, supposedly. So you can't go, all right, we're done with him being in there. But the thing with Mo Lewis, during that time frame, Frankie, there were numerous years that the entire outcry from all of the New York media, like, and you know how harsh they are to us, that they were like, Mo Lewis got screwed again. Like, he's the best player in all of New York, and they didn't vote him to the Pro Bowl. And that was just one of those things. The same reason that Klecko and Gastineau aren't in the Hall of Fame. Klecko has gone on record and said, he said, if I was on a Super Bowl winning team, I'd be in there. No question in my mind. It's because I played for a bad team.
Mo Lewis, 145 tackles, no Pro Bowl. Next year, 158 tackles, no Pro Bowl. How are you not going to the Pro Bowl with 158 tackles? And
how many?
That was how they measured you.
Right. Well, and how many sacks and tackles for a loss and interceptions did he get those years?
Well, the year with 1992, 145 tackles, 2 sacks, 1 interception, which is good for a. Now they didn't count tackles for loss back then.
Right.
They did not tally that. Next year he had 158 tackles, 4 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, 2 interceptions. I mean, these are incredible stats for a linebacker.
Incredible. Wow. 158 tackles, 4 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, and 2 interceptions. Nope.
No Pro Bowl. Not good enough.
We have some great linebacker. Him, Kyle Clifton, Marvin Jones. I mean, what a run. Lance Mill before that. What a run of linebackers.
Yeah, we did have a run of linebackers, and even some guys that were here for shorter periods of time. Joe Kelly and Bobby Houston and those guys, they were solid too, man. Like, we had linebackers. It's one of the reasons I'm such a linebacker guy. Like, when I was growing up, we were known for linebacker play. I mean, Kyle Clifton had over 200 tackles a couple times. Kyle Clifton led the league in tackles like 5 or 6 years. It's incredible. It was like 3 years in a row.
He's so far and away the Jets' leader in tackles. I think he's got about 400 more than Mo Lewis does. It's ridiculous. The discrepancy is ridiculous how many tackles Clifton had.
But Mo Lewis also as a linebacker had a season with 10 sacks. As a linebacker, 10 sacks. Now he did make
think
the Pro
about
Bowl
that.
Then, but
what
they
what year was
it?
it?
The Pro Bowl with 10 sacks when he was 31 years old. Even the year 2000, 31 years old, has 10 sacks, 89 tackles, 1 interception, 2 forced fumbles, and they started counting tackles for loss. 13 tackles for loss.
13 tackles for a loss, dude. 10 sacks, 13 tackles for a loss. Jesus.
I still put Mo Lewis and Brandon Moore on a very similar level. Fantastic Jets for a long period of time, and they're known for one stupid play against New England.
Right.
It's just It's so
Poor Brandon Moore. He wasn't even looking, Y2K. He wasn't even looking.
He was a defensive lineman. I think they got converted to the offensive line. It's unbelievable. This
is what happens when you don't win. There was a lot of stupid, crazy things that happened to the Patriots that nobody remembers. Why? Because they won Super Bowls, and that's what they remember. So we got to erase these things by winning.
Agreed. And that's the thing. Like, that's why when these newfangled trolls come around and like, they say what they don't know. They're coming from a place of ignorance. They don't know. We have had some amazing teams and amazing players in this franchise. The problem is because of really, it's like the upstairs, whether it's ownership or general manager or coaching, we've always had a mismanaged situation. And because of that, we were a losing organization, and these great players got completely overlooked by somebody making more waves for the Patriots or for the whoever, the Dallas Cowboys, the Redskins back in the day. They always got their guys in, but we didn't. We got ignored, and that's the sad part about it. Mo Lewis should have had, let's just say, 2 or 3 more Pro Bowls and maybe even another All-Pro. And if he did, not only would he be Ring of Honor, he'd be in the discussion for Hall of Fame. Like, that's how good he was. And the best part about it, guys, is he was a 12-year player, never missed a season, and he was a Jet the entire time. When he was done with the Jets, he was done with football. He was a New York Jet and only a New York Jet. And like that has value to me too, man. Like, it's just not like that anymore. We buy these jerseys for these players and they have, they're here 3 or 4 years at the most. And it's like, what the fuck? That's why I don't like to buy jerseys anymore, man. Like, you don't think I want to go out and get a Sauce Gardner or a Garrett Wilson? Of course I want to go out and get one of those. Really what I want is Breece Hall. But I can't because I'm scared. That's really what it boils down to. I'm scared. So I wear my Bird, I wear my Gastineau, I wear my Freeman McNeil or my Mo Lewis. That's what I have. Scared, guys.
As a Jets fan, we should be entitled to like a 2 or 3 year exchange policy on an official jersey. If the players in there for about 2 more years, we can exchange it for a new jersey. How about that?
I think you're right.
Especially since we play in New Jersey.
Exactly. Simple concept.
They should have that because we're such a slapdick organization and we can't keep players for more than 25 minutes. If the player's not here more than 2 years or 3 years, you get at least 50% off your next jersey. How's that? You know what I mean? Give us something.
That's only for, we got my Darnold jersey. Give me my Michael Clemens jersey now.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Is that where you want to go? You want to get a Clemens?
Now, I think what I want to do, I think I would actually do an Elijah Vera Tucker, but I want a black one. I think that'd be a good look. But
Elijah Vera Tucker.
Those are hard to find. The black one, there's only so many black jerseys available on online right now. It's like more, and that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I respect that, AVT. I respect that, Y2K. I do. I really like that. I want a white jersey. The problem is I'm a disgusting slob. That's the problem. I'm gross. Doesn't matter what, I will pick up an unopened can and it'll be closed and sealed and somehow I'll have a big stain on my chest. So I'm scared to get a white jersey, but I would like a white Breece Hall. That'd be nice.
It's got to do something first, though. I'm afraid to get a jersey of a rookie, a guy who's
me too.
And those jerseys back then, in the 80s, 90s, they were what, $40-$50? I mean,
totally. Now they're $300.
That's a kid. $50 won't even get you a kid's jersey nowadays.
Yeah. It's insane. It's insane. Like the cheap jerseys that you get from that site in China, which is hit or miss. Sometimes you get a good jersey. Sometimes if the letters fall off in one wash or whatever. Those are even $40-$50 or whatever they are now. So it's I don't know. It's tough to buy a rookie. Kevin C checking back in. He wants round 2 here, Frankie, and we'll see what Y2K says. Round 2, eggplant parm or sausage and peppers. What do you got, Frankie?
I'm not an eggplant guy, so this is easy for me. I'll take sausage and peppers. Not an eggplant guy at all. So this one's easy.
There you go. What about you, Y2K?
Sausage and peppers all the way. Although I will say, I have used marinara sauce in the past that had eggplant in it. And if you mix that with some Italian sausage, the sausage and eggplant go together beautifully. It's like a Sicilian style. Awesome.
Kevin, Y2K, he hears your question and he'll raise you both. I put them together. That's what I'm doing. I got to say, I'm a huge eggplant parm guy, but it's got to be specific. I don't like thick eggplant. I don't like it. It's got to be thin. It's got to be done right. But if it is done right, I'm a huge fan of eggplant parm, but I still take sausage and peppers. So thanks, Kev. Buffalo Jets fan checking in. What's up, buddy? He says, DJ Reed is as good at his position as any player on the roster. He's 1 year older than Quinnen. He's a franchise cornerstone. Y2K, what do you think of that statement? You think he's a franchise cornerstone? He's only 25 years old.
That's a bold statement right there. He has the potential to be, but as good at his position as any player on the roster. And now I'm starting to think my way through this roster. Is he better than both guards? Is he better than Tomlinson and AVT? Jordan Whitehead is excellent at being more of a box safety as opposed to coverage. So I could sort of see that. You can make Reed for being one of the upper level players, but I'm still not 100% sold that he'll be given the outside cornerback position. The job is his to lose, but I haven't seen enough of DJ Reed to really be able to agree definitively with that statement from Buffalo. But I hope you're right.
Right. I think I'm with you. Frankie, what do you think? Is that like do you think are you as confident as Buffalo Jets fan on DJ Reed?
Well, I love DJ Reed. He's our starting right cornerback in my mind. No doubt about it. He's not going to the slot. He's really good at being an outside cornerback. But the question would be, the way that Buffalo poses, like, is he better than Carr Lawson, at his job than rushing the pass? Is he better than JFM as a So I would quibble with that. But DJ Reed is phenomenal. He's our starting right cornerback, and he's going to be terrific. We run the same system as Seattle. And if you watch the tape on the kid, I was watching some games of him earlier this week, and he just doesn't get beat. I mean, he was going against Deontay Johnson, the Steelers, and he killed him. He killed him. Sorry. And they weren't throwing his way. And then when they did, he couldn't get a pass completed. So I don't know. I love DJ Reed. I think he's phenomenal.
I'm with it. I don't have such strong feelings, Buffalo, only because admittedly I didn't really dig in. I watched some highlights and I read some stuff, of course, and I like them. And, I looked at the ratings and all that kind of stuff, but I don't really know the player yet. I'm excited that we got him. I'm excited for, what he can be here. And the thing I'm most excited about with these guys is even when we got vets like Whitehead and DJ Reed for the defense, dude, they're 5 years old. Like that, they're not 31. They're not, 29. Like
Douglas's pocket. Joe Douglas loves that pocket. Like guys coming off of their first contract, he loves that pocket for vet additions. And that makes a lot of sense.
It's hard to think of a free agent he signed who doesn't fall into that category.
I mean, there are some Vinny Curry, Vinny Curry.
Those
are role players.
They're 1 year deals. But if he's giving you a multi-year contract,
right,
you better be 25, 26 years old, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Right. Yeah. The only guy is Laken Tomlinson. I think he's 30, right? It might be 30. 29 years old. So, and they gave him a 3-year. But that's one out of the bunch. It's not like, it's definitely like you guys are saying. He has a look. If Joe Douglas has a type, and guess what? He wants his team to be young. And I love it, man. I respect it. I want to say Tommy Clifford checked in with 3 separate chats to know that we were talking about the fullback Ben Mason when I said I couldn't remember his name. Yeah. That is him. So thank you, Tommy. I know that was a little while ago, but I'm with you. Ice Storm checking in. Thank you for the super chat. Interestingly, we used your comment before to start the Mo Lewis talk. I didn't see this yet, but I'll read it. He says, Mo Lewis needs to be in the Ring of Honor. Any Jets fan who doesn't think so, because he almost killed Bledsoe and Brady came in, is an ultra turd.
Well, I endorse that. Endorsed.
Right. I feel the same way. I've gotten into more than my share of heated discussions about Mo Lewis with people, and some Jets fans, they don't even think about him past that. And it's a shame because he was a loyal.
The dude, what do people want out of a player?
Yeah.
Just high level play for a long period of time with the Jets, his whole career. What more do you really want? And so he had this one incident. That's all we're going to remember. We're really going to be that selective memory type people. I mean, come on.
Yes, and think about it. The incident isn't like he got burned for
right.
Completely
he did what you wanted him to do.
He did what you want him to do. Dude, he wrecked a quarterback who was seen by most people as one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. He was a young quarterback.
Well, he just got $100 million contract. They had just signed him to a 10-year, $100 million contract that was unheard of at that time.
Wow.
And that happened. It
looked like the death knell for the Bill Belichick Patriots, because don't forget, he had a losing season the season before, and he wasn't having a great season that year. Tom Brady quite literally saved Bill Belichick's career. Yeah. Like he would have, because he had the failed stint in Cleveland, 4 years, and he was fired. Then he went back to Parcells as a defensive coordinator. Then the whole thing with us happened. He went to the Patriots. He had I think it was 4-12 his first year. And then he was having a losing season that year, gave Bledsoe the huge contract. If Tom Brady wasn't just out of left field, great player that he ended up being, Bill Belichick would have made it maybe another year and been fired. That's where it was.
And thank God for their cameras and Adam Vinatieri never missing a kick.
Yeah.
Let's just throw those two things in.
And deflating balls. And also in that tenure, and also in that tenure, he lets Lawyer Malloy go for no reason. Why did he release Lawyer Malloy? Does anybody still understand that? No. So he did a lot of weird stuff. And Tom, it was all about shady Tom Brady. Really?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I'm with you, man. Ice Storm. It's just it's a sad thing. I wish Jets fans would be a little bit more loving to the people who were actually loyal. Like he was here for 12 years. 12 years. He went all through the Bruce Coslet, the Kotite. He went through all of it, man. And then when Bill Parcells came, he completely changed his whole body type and he was dominant, dude. Like, think about that. If you had a linebacker that was always good for 120 to 150 tackles or so, and he would always get a couple picks and always a few sacks, always, like every year, that was what he was bringing to the game. We haven't seen that in forever. We have one good year from David Harris was a good one, but he wasn't getting picks. I mean, he got that one famous interception against the Patriots. He wasn't sacking and picking like Mo. Mo was all over the place, man.
Harris wasn't that different than Kyle Clifton. He didn't have a ton of sacks or interceptions. He just made tackles.
Yeah, and that's great too.
That was his job.
Right. Yeah. And that's great too. But again, Mo Lewis gave us what we haven't seen since Mo Lewis. And when it was Mo Lewis, Marvin Jones, and Brian Cox out there, dude, we were feared. They were feared. You should go back, guys, and watch some of those games. Just watch that era, like 1998.
That's a good idea. Go back and watch it now when you're dispassionate. Just watch it, because your memory gets clouded by your passion. If all you do is watch the game one time on television and you're all emotional, as we all are, and you're going to remember certain things because your emotion is clouding your memory. But if you go back and you go, oh my God, you'll see it'll be a whole different type of game than you remember. I promise.
I mean, there's guys I kind of knew from the 80s, because I was born in the early 80s. So it's like I vaguely knew these guys. But then when I went back recently, because we were doing some list show recently on Jets defense, and I looked up some of these guys. I'm like, wait a minute, Eric McMillan had 7 defensive touchdowns as a Jet, things like that. I had no idea that he was that good. So many of these, we've had so many players that were quietly very good, but
we took them for granted.
Forgotten about, yeah,
we took them for granted. I mean, some of those defensive lines even were amazing. I mean, people should just go back and watch. Get these DVDs. There's some DVDs you can get on Amazon from the 2009 season, 2010. Go look. I mean, you'll be amazed at how incredible Darrelle Revis is, how amazing that defense is, the safeties, Kerry Rhodes and Jimmy Leonard and all these people.
Right. And let me tell you this too, like when you watch that 1998 season, just watch the defense, sit back, grab yourself some popcorn and watch how those linebackers hit the holes. They take on the blockers every time when if there's a running back, whatever, within a second, 2 of our 3 linebackers are there. They are near the ball constantly. They never got juked out of their pants, and they run in like full speed. You can see it. It's like boom. We don't see that anymore. I'm telling you, man.
Compare that to what the heck Jared Davis was doing last year.
Oh my God.
Which was the opposite. It was like you're supposed to be over here, Jared, and you're over here. But these guys knew where they had to be, and then they could click and close and be there.
Right. Go Parcells. Yeah. Parcells was never going to allow anything less from those 3 guys.
Right. Good coaching, good film study. You know what you're supposed to do, and then you can execute it. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, and the talent. And they had the talent to do it.
Right, to do it, right.
So Thomas Cahill checking back in about Becton. Thank you, Thomas. He says, GreenBean, it's not Becton's leg, it's his head. Well, that's interesting because I don't know where that comes from. Like, what's wrong with Becton's head? I mean, Frankie, you got what's wrong with Becton's head?
Where are you getting that from? It seems like Thomas really just is looking for something to worry about. I think a lot of Jet fans are just kind of like they feel like they have to worry because I don't know, because like we haven't won in so long. But don't worry about it, Thomas. Like he's training with Duke Manyweather. This is the best offensive line trainer in the world. He's exactly where we want him to be. He's putting out. I mean, if you want to know about his head, follow his Instagram. Get your information directly from him. And he recently put out something on Instagram saying, I can't wait to get back with my brothers and all this stuff. Just follow the Instagram. You don't have to get your information from the beat writers. Get it directly from the player. You'll be better off.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Like Thomas, it sounds to me, and we talk, and you're a beanbagger, and we know each other a little bit, but it's like if you're reading Connor Hughes or Rich Cimini, if that's where you're getting your information, then you're gonna have those fears because they're digging, like they're reaching, they're making stuff up. There's never been anything wrong with Becton's head. Like don't forget Joe Douglas and the staff that we have right now. They could have taken Tristan Wirfs. They fell in love with Becton's attitude. That's what it was. He loves to put people on their backs. Like there's never been anything about him that said he doesn't train hard. Like it's not real.
And
like
Duke says, Duke, all he does is work with offensive linemen. He's the guy behind offensive line mastermind. He knows what a good offensive lineman is. He knows what an average one is. He works with all these guys. He works with the ones coming out of college. And what he says out of Becton is this guy can be a monster once he's healthy, a monster. And when he says that, he knows from monsters. Okay.
Yeah, right. That's all he works with. I mean, and I'm not saying that you're not allowed to be concerned. Of course, you can feel
and
how you feel.
Concerned a bit,
right?
We want to see it, but
exactly. And I'm nervous too because I want it to work out so bad. So I can't say that I'm not nervous, but these concerns, it's not really founded. I mean, anybody can get hurt. Anybody can end up being a bust, right? And we don't want it. We don't want it anymore. We want Becton to be good. But the truth is that we've seen him on an NFL field. He is good. He got his leg rolled on last year, and they made up a bunch of stories about him since. Like that's what it is. And I don't know. I don't have the same level of concern, maybe, Thomas. But I'm with you. I'm concerned, but only because I want him to be good. New York 102 checking back in. He says Bengals rebuild took 30 years to win a playoff game. That's what people forget, right? There's a lot of revisionist history right now. The Jets have the longest drought in the. Yeah, okay, you can say that, but the Browns drought was longer up until 2 years ago, and the Bengals have. Yeah, the Bills, right? We're just the latest, the longest right now, so they make a big thing about it. But the Bengals took 30 years to win one playoff game. In that time, we've been to 3 AFC championship games. We've won a bunch of playoff. So it's not the same. Like we're not as bad as people make us out to be. Now, the last 10 years, it's been bad. You know what I mean? Like you can't say the whole, forcing Rex on Idzik, and then you only getting Idzik because nobody else wanted Rex Ryan, then firing those guys, hiring Mike McCagnon, hiring the coach before they hired the GM. They didn't like each other and they fought and they both had to report to the owner because blah, 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 blah. And then hiring Adam Gase. Like it's been bad. Nobody's going to say otherwise. But our history isn't what they make it out to be. And it's all going to end this year, my friend. It's all going to end this year.
And the interesting thing is, are the Bengals going to build off of that? And I would say that they are. I mean, they have the quarterback. They seem to have the coach. They have a good team again. They rebuilt the offensive line. So I think the Bengals, it'll be interesting to see. But it seems to me they're going to kind of continue on being a good team at least.
It's interesting how it only takes a year or two for that turnaround to suddenly really happen once you find the quarterback. Look at Drew Brees when he went to the Saints. Another perfect example, a team that was in the abyss for like who was the most well-known Saints quarterback before the Archie Manning Billy Joe Tolliver? Is that who we're talking about?
Yeah, Billy
Manning,
Joe Tolliver, right? Yeah, that's what.
Archie.
They were affectionately labeled the Aints for 30 years.
They were known for linebackers and incompetence. That was
look at right. The Buccaneers before they got shady Tom Brady, and the Buccaneers were a laughing stock. They couldn't do anything. Brady shows up, boom.
They won one Super Bowl with Brad Johnson as their quarterback, but they had one of the best defenses of all time. But
they had that little period. But other than that, they were pretty bad. And then Brady shows up, and boom.
Yeah, and even the most recent 10 years, like they had talent. They had Michael Mike Evans, and they had some guys, but they couldn't win. They haven't made a playoff game in 10 years. Like Frankie said, Tom Brady comes down, and now Todd Bowles is going to be the this and that. It's like, okay, what? But that's like we forget that stuff. It's just because it's a good story right now. Like technically speaking, yes, the Jets have the longest playoff drought, but it's not the longest playoff drought. It's just the longest right now, and this happens to be the worst 10-year period that we've had. And like, look, I know I lived through Kotite and all this stuff. Adam Gase was worse than Kotite, and Mike McCagnon was worse than than Dick Steinberg by far. So, at least back then we sucked, but we had talent. It was a whole different thing. They played hard. This was the worst that we've ever had. So Boogie Down Bronx checking back in. He says David Harris should be in the Ring of Honor. I would say so too. Although I will say if he makes it in before Mo Lewis, there's something wrong. That's what I'll say, BDB. And you know what I'm getting at, BDP. I want to say BDP, man. That's the whole Boogie Down Productions. So I like that name, BDB. But I think David Harris is fine. But I think if he's in there before Mo Lewis, that doesn't make sense to me.
No, the problem with David Harris, he never made a Pro Bowl.
He's like the Brickshaw. I don't even think the Brickshaw made a Pro Bowl, believe it or not.
Three for
we had one really good player who did. He was never all pro. That was it. Yeah. So Harris to me was always very, very good, but never
a lot of tackles.
Top of the list. Yeah, he was a compiler. One of those tackle compilers. If you put him in the Ring of Honor, great. But if you didn't, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it.
Yeah. Again, Mo Lewis, like Cadoza checking in saying 1994 from Mo Lewis is sick. 130 tackles, 6 sacks, 4 interceptions. Who does that?
Yeah.
Who does that?
I mean, that's crazy for a linebacker. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, it's not ancient history either. I mean, I know there's a lot of young fans but dude, I was at those games. I was watching Mo Lewis. And I know I'm an old bag. I get it. But it's not like we're not talking about black and white TV. We're not talking about Joe Namath or even the Ken O'Brien years. I mean, that's a relatively recent past. He was there in 1999, 2000. When was his last year, Frankie? Was it 2001?
Who, Mo Lewis?
Mo Lewis.
I just had him up here. It's interesting because Mo Lewis had 10 sacks in his age 31 season. If you can believe that. And
wait, what was that? I missed that. What'd you say?
He had 10 sacks in his age 31 season.
Yeah. See
2000.
That?
Then he played 3 more, 2001, 2, and 3 after 2003 he retired.
So think about it.
But then 2001, he had 3 sacks. So he was
well, he was aging. He was a 12, he was 11, 10, 12-year vet. So, I mean, look at him, man. But like he was still here. He was here till 2003. So again, it's not ancient history. And that one play, people make it like Tom Brady's his fault. It's just it's the most ridiculous take out there. E-Rock, what's up, E-Rock? It's good to see you, buddy. He says, been MIA. I hope that doesn't mean been in Miami. That place is a shithole. But following, happy to see where you came from and when the channel started to where the Jets are now. This doesn't feel real. LOA 9-8 with a wild card. Well, thank you, buddy. It's good to see you, man. You were, one of the early guys. You were here first. So I appreciate seeing you and everything you've done. But yeah, dude, I think, look, I've been a Jets content creator only during losing. I've never been a winner in front of you guys. Never.
Are you going to change, Green Bean? Are you going to change?
Right? I'm going to be a pompous ass. Who knows? I honestly can't tell you. I have no idea who I am with winning. Probably become a big jerk.
You probably. I think if we become a winning team, you should dye your beard green.
If we do what?
If we have a winning season, you should dye your beard green, and then you will really be the Green Bean.
I'll tell you what. I'm gonna absorb this. I'm gonna think about it, and I'm gonna make one of those kinds of deals. Okay? How about this? We got to find one for you too. We got to find one. Something doesn't have to be as overt, but something. We'll all do something. I think that's a good one. Actually, I will dye my beard green if the Jets have a winning season, and then we have to decide how long I have to have it. 6 years until we lose.
But that'll be a real reason to root for winning. I mean, winning's nice and all, but a Green Bean's beard is really the main thing we should be concerned
about. Right. Agreed. Let's see. Bradigan's here. What's up, Bradigan? He's all excited. He just popped in and he said, holy shit, you guys are still here. So it's good to have you here, Bradigan. I spent some time with Chris and Harry last night in Iowa. So we had a good time chatting it up. He says, exactly, GreenBean. I'm afraid to buy jerseys because I don't know how long they're going to be. I'm telling you, man, I can't do it. Like I said, I broke protocol when the Jets made the new uniforms. I watched it. I was actually in Virginia Beach. My son was in Charlottesville. So I had him. I was like watching the release live, and I had him on my little FaceTime so we could kind of watch it together because I was working, and we watched it and everything. And then they had the, 50 or so I think it was 60% off or 70% off. And I said, you know what? Sam Darnold's going to be here for at least 5-6 years. And I bought him a damn jersey I bought the Sam Darnold black jersey for my son. A year later, it was like, yeah, he sucks. This is not going to be good.
Hello, Salvation Army.
Exactly. No, it's technically speaking, we still have it. 2K, but I don't know what I'm going to do with it. What can you do with it? A kid's Sam Darnold jersey. Cadoza checking back in. He says, Mo Lewis, 1994, 130 tackles, 6 sacks, 4 interceptions, 3 forced fumbles, 2 defensive touchdowns. That's defensive player of the year type stats. And he wasn't even in the Pro Bowl. So what do you guys think? Talk to me.
They ripped us off. They ripped us off for the millionth time. Mo Lewis was robbed.
That's right. He was robbed. And look, at least, like with all that being what it is, at least the least we could do is as a fan base, send some love his way. Instead, we all rip him apart because of one play. It's fucking ridiculous, man. And like Ring of Honor, why isn't he in the Ring of Honor? Like, with all due respect to Revis, Mangold, and DeBrickashaw Ferguson, in my opinion, outside of Revis, I think Mo might even be next. Love Mangold.
Gotta get these people. And what's the point of not putting him in there? Like, what happened after they announced the Ring of Honor guys today? The Jets immediately sent out an email saying, hey, come buy tickets when we induct Darrelle Revis into the Ring of Hall of Fame, the Ring of Fame, and then buy tickets for the Mangold game and buy tickets for the Brick game. So they market off it, which they should, of course. But why not? I mean, come on.
I'm actually surprised they're doing all 3 in the same season. I thought they would spread this out a little bit more. Maybe do Nick and Brick maybe like on the same day together one season, but save Revis for the next year. I like the idea of Nick and Brick going into the Ring of Honor together because they're joined at the hip. I would have liked that idea.
I think they missed an opportunity too. Now they're looking at it from like the old saying that Roger Waters made is it all makes perfect sense when expressed in dollars and cents. And that's the difference. When you look at it through a financial lens, it makes 10 times more sense to do it the way they're doing it. From a fan perspective, it makes, and just like, history and lore and all that, it makes, dude, to have them come in the league together, play 10 years together, almost go out at the same time. Nick made it a little bit longer, but both of them were almost missed no games together. Nick Mangold didn't miss a game until I think it was his 10th year, or something like that. So to put them in the Ring of Honor together would make sense, but not enough marketing potential there, so they can't do it. J.E. Allen checking back in. Thomas and J.E. are really trying to drive this Becton thing home. He says Thomas Cahill is on point. Now they're linking up. They're a team, Frankie. It's Becton's head. Jets are ready for playoffs, and we need Becton. Great to be with your kid. He hasn't shown up. 1 hour with his brothers. I respect what you're saying and I understand what you're saying, but you really think that showing up for 1 hour has benefit? I mean, I don't know. He's going to be there during mandatory camp and training camp. He's going to be there all summer with these guys. This is the only opportunity that he has to be with his young mother of his child. I don't know. Now look, I don't know if you're a parent or I don't know. And that's not, but from my perspective, that's probably the most important place that he could be. Again, if it was mandatory and he was doing this shit, whole different story. It's optional voluntary workouts, and they're not, it's workouts. It's going over stuff. It's, meetings and things like that. Again, like Frankie said, he's training he's in his rehab protocol. And again, man, it's just like, I don't know, 1 hour. I don't know. I see what you're saying. I don't see the real value of it. The whole thing, leaving, flying up to show up for an hour and see you guys. I don't know.
Well, the other thing is his brothers are in the camp of he should be with his child. So, you can say he should be with his brothers. His brothers, as expressed by Justin Hardy, said, we want him to be with his child. So his brothers are saying, please stay with your child and your wife. We're cool. Come back for training camp. We'll see you when you get here, brother. So that's what his brothers are saying. So you can, I don't know. It seems like some people really just want to worry about such things, and that's okay too. But his brothers are saying, hey, be with your child. That's more important.
Yeah,
as Jets fans, we're accustomed to worrying. In fact, if we don't have something to worry about, we're worried that we're not worrying.
Worry about
Zach
is
going to fall.
I mean, worry about Zach being accurate. Just worry about that. That's something to worry about.
We're worry warriors. That's what we are as Jets fans.
Well, look, and this is Snowball is telling you, he goes, can we handle success? I'm really not sure. Yeah, I don't know either.
We might find out. We might not. We might all fall apart.
Right. We might never have to worry about succeeding, Snowball. And look, again, Thomas Cahill and J.E. Allen. It's not that I don't understand what you're saying, but I think it's much to do of nothing. Like Frankie said, which I didn't even hear that comment. His teammates are probably like, dude, stay there. If I had my daughter, I'd be, whatever. They probably, that's what's really going on. We don't hear that stuff. So I'm happy that Justin Hardy came out and said that, but there's probably all sorts of communication with each other. Salah said he's daily communication with Becton. So, again, optimally, would it be for the team? Sure. 100%. But again, this is the only time that he's going to have the first couple weeks of his first child's life, and it's voluntary. So I'm not worried about it. If he starts missing mandatory stuff or he's injured and all that shit, then yes, I'll be sharing the same concerns as you guys. But Cadoza checking back in with a little bit of more Mo Lewis update. He says Mo Lewis played different positions in different defensive schemes, including 4-3 outside linebacker, weak side linebacker to 3-4. You know what I mean? He's done that too. He says with so many different coaches, he went from our best coverage linebacker to our best pass rusher for a year. He was so
Lewis gets
versatile.
no respect. Mo Lewis is getting no respect. He was robbed, and we need to start respecting Mo Lewis. Great player.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, the linebackers that year that made the Pro Bowl were just guys like Derek Thomas, Greg Lloyd, Junior Seau, Carl Mecklenburg, bunch of schlubs. But come on, Mo Lewis deserved a little love too. Come on now.
He did.
Can we get an alternate? Can we get an alternate?
Nowadays, all of them would have sat out. Mo might have been like the third alternate. He probably would have made it nowadays.
Yeah, I'd love to see like who made it over Mo Lewis. Like, right? Was it Junior Seau? Junior Seau was a perennial Pro Bowl, so they weren't allowed to not have him.
There were five linebackers: Derek Thomas, Greg Lloyd, and Cornelius Bennett on the outside. Inside, it was Junior Seau and Carl Mecklenburg. That was it.
Yeah, I'd love to see their stats. We know their names. I'd love to see it and see if it's better than what Mo Lewis put up that year. Yeah. Did Mo Lewis play baseball for the Mets? You're going to have to ask somebody else that one. Maybe Y2K.
He knew immediately. He was thinking of Mo Vaughn.
But that's part of Mo Lewis's problem, too. He has a regular name. Like his full name is Morris Clyde Lewis. He should have gone as MC Lewis or Morris C. Lewis, and people would have remembered him better. But Mo Lewis is easy to forget the name.
No, see, it's funny that you say that. I feel like it's beautiful. Like I really do.
Nice,
like Mo
but
Lewis.
It's just too common. Like Mo Lewis who's Mo Lewis? That guy at the bar, the guy at work. I forget Mo Lewis. Like it's just too common. Like
how many Mo's? How many Mo's do you have in your life, Frankie?
I don't have many. But
I don't have any
Mo Vaughn, sports wise, there's some Mo's.
Gotta go to Modell's.
I see.
That's about it.
Let's see here.
Maybe it's just because it's Mo. It's so short. Like if it was Maurice Lewis or something, or Morris Lewis. His name is Morris. Anyway, I don't know.
Mo's usually a nickname more than anything. With Mariano Rivera, guys like that. But
all right, let me see. I'm looking.
Right. Mo Rivera.
Yeah. There's a Mo's Famous Barbecue here in Charlottesville. It's excellent.
And Mo's Southwest Grill. Well, that's MOE.
Yeah, I don't like Mo's. Do you like Mo's? I don't like it.
It's okay. It's fine if it's all you have. I mean, it's better than other places.
Yeah, but
the
like
guacamole's not as good as Chipotle for one thing. I don't think the meat is quite as good either.
Yeah, I was going to compare it to Chipotle. I think Chipotle kicks its ass. But that's another thing. All right, so Chris Bradigan checking in. He says Becton and Mims are going to shut the haters up this year. Both of them are coming back with a vengeance. I'll tell you what, literally, as far as the Jets are concerned, very little would make me happier. Very little would make me happier than Becton and Mims come in and are studs. Now, is it going to happen? I don't know. I mean, there is a thread of thought that this coaching staff doesn't like Becton and Mims. Now, we don't know if that's accurate or not, but that's what a lot of Jets fans think. Mims isn't right for the system and all that kind of stuff. And when you look at last year, at the end of the year, they were starting guys like Tariq Black and DJ Montgomery over Mims. So you could draw that conclusion. But Salah made some comments this week, like Becton was never right after that food poisoning. He was never back to 100%. And that's interesting because then he got COVID on top of that. So he said that. He said he was never really healthy last year. So if you think that stuff can't have an impact, man, I mean, he had food poisoning, lost 20 pounds, and COVID in the same year that he was learning a new offense with a whole new quarterback. And, it's like there's a lot there. There's a lot there. Hey, Becton, Mims, he looks good. He's running hard routes in practice. We've seen a few clips and stuff. That's all we got. But I'm excited for him this year. I think if he can show this team like they would be dumb to cut me, then we got something. What do you think, Watsuke?
It'd be nice if he got off the schneid too, right at the beginning.
Right.
Sorry, Watsuke.
Agreed.
I don't know how many snaps he's going to get with the 4 receivers he has in front of him, but I will say this: 2 things that he can do that should be within his control. 1, stop dropping passes, because his drop rate last year was insane, and his penalty rate was off the charts. He averaged, I think I saw Nani write this. Last year, Mims averaged 1 penalty per 55 snaps. That is the worst of any wide receiver in the NFL. The second worst was a guy in San Francisco that none of us have ever heard of. He averaged 1 penalty every 88 snaps. Denzel Mims is a penalty machine. He has to clean up the drops and clean up the penalties before we can even consider him becoming a quality wide receiver. Before he can help the team, stop hurting the team.
Again, you're talking about an anomaly year. He's not a drop machine. That's never been his thing except when he had a broken wrist. It's the only time he was ever a drop machine. He's not a penalty machine. It was last year. He had 279 plays. He had 5 penalties. So you can break it up any way you like. That's the truth of it. He was blocking fantastically last year. Before the Indianapolis game, he had no drops. You know what I mean? So again, you can take it and you can make into what you will, but you have a guy who has 5 years in front of us with his statistics. Okay, 5 years. Last year was the anomaly. Making that who he is a mistake, in my opinion. We can't take it away. He's got to fix it. But again, you have 4 straight years of good production, whether it be the 3 years in college or his rookie year. 4 straight years of being a solid wide receiver, making acrobatic catches, all those kinds of things. Last year, he loses 20 pounds, falls behind the whole thing, and he didn't have drops all season. It started at the Indianapolis game, and then it kept going. So I don't know. I think he's 20. We think he's 24, 25. Again, he's more than worthy of giving the chance rather than, saying he's a bust. You know what I mean? It's silly to me.
I mean,
where'd Y2K go?
I don't know. For what it's worth, Football Reference has him as 2 drops last year. So, it's a high percentage. He has a high drop percentage because he didn't get targeted much. But they have him for 2.
2.
And his drop percentage in his first year, rookie year, 2.3%, which is very good. Last year, 8.7%, which is very bad. But still 2 drops because he just didn't get targeted very much.
Yeah. So Y2K, you got to hear that. But I don't know,
and I don't know if that's right. I mean, that's just what Pro Football Reference has. So it could be wrong. I mean, it depends how you count it.
How many penalties did it say? I think he had 5 penalties last year out of 279 snaps.
Sorry about that.
No, it's all right. You okay? I thought maybe something was on fire.
I saw a cockroach about 8 inches long crawling across the carpet. I had to go get it.
Well, you know the old saying, where there's one. That's so. But like what Frankie was saying is, Pro Football Reference has Denzel Mims credited with 2 drops last year. So he had 5 penalties and 2 drops. Again, it's not saying it's good. I'm saying we're making a huge deal out of an anomaly year that wasn't as bad as everybody makes it out to be. It was not good, and something was clearly off with him last year. But again, it's being made out to be a much more systemic and consistent issue for Denzel Mims than it is. Now, we don't know what he's going to do this year.
That being said, he's got to come back this year.
Totally.
This is big year for him. He's got to be a productive member of the team. One way I think they could do that, I think he should be on the kick return team for one thing. With his long strides, I think he could be a really good kick returner. But that could be one way to contribute, possibly. But all that being said, we're all very high on Denzel, but now he's got to, produce. No doubt about it.
Agreed. And I don't think anybody is off of that side of it. It's like, oh yeah. Now, if he's wide receiver 5, like Watch Kate said, he's got Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson, even Berrios ahead of him. 4 players that they like. So his targets are going to be limited. At the same time, from that position, you can have a 30-40 catch season and let everybody know that you're good enough to let Corey Davis go and get a larger role. And that's all you really want from him this year. I mean, if he has a fucking 90 catch, great. But I'm not even, and I'm a Mims guy, but it's not even that. I'm thinking 35 catches, just be a sure-handed, solid contributor from where they have you, and we'll grow from there.
PFF has him as 4 penalties on the year.
4 out of 200. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't it 279 snaps?
Well, offensive snap, no. Offensive snaps, he only had 80.
Where did I see 279?
Yeah, it was like 279 would have seemed like quite a bit. I mean, he was inactive for a couple games. So
he was at the first, the second and third games he was inactive, and I think maybe the 5th.
They have him as
completely inactive.
Look at the offense. There is 279 snaps total.
He played 11 games last year.
Yeah, so it looks like 279 is right.
Yeah, 270. That's the thing. Like, there were so many plays. Denzel Mims was in on a lot of running plays. Nobody looks at that. He was key blocking all over the place. But we don't even look at it. Right. Frankie made a whole video about what Denzel Mims is doing when you're not looking. Now, granted, nobody's going to say that he wasn't off last year. Even I'm a Mims supporter. I liked him I really loved the pick, and I want him to be successful, right? Because I believe he can be. But there was something off. But at the same time, like when he's in on running plays or not getting targeted, he's still doing his job. He had those penalties. That's all everybody thinks about. 4 penalties and 2 drops. That's all it was last year. But we make it into this big, huge, because the reports are that, he's this, he's lazy. He's, what was that word Connor Hughes used for his attitude? What was it?
He was cavalier. He was cavalier and has an I don't care attitude in games and practice. And my video was about, let me prove Connor Hughes wrong about the games, because I can look at the games and look at the all 22 footage and show you that that's false. I mean, he's blocking defensive ends, in this video that I did, and doing it with a lot of effort, and he was proud of himself. He's puffing himself up when he blocks this big monster. But but that's what Connor Hughes said. He has a cavalier, I don't care attitude in practice and games. And it's not true about the games. I don't have access to practice, so I can't speak to that. But with the games, I proved it's wrong.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. So Red John checking in, he says, and why can't Mims learn to play special teams? Well, I don't know.
Why can't he?
Why can't he? Yeah,
he was doing it last preseason. Remember he volunteered to be on special teams last year.
Be the gunner. Yep.
He asked to do
and
it.
He played hard.
He played hard. They tried him. They tried him out, and they decided to go with other people. But he can play. Why can't he? And why can't he be a kick returner? I mean, he has 4.3 speed with long strides. I wouldn't want him returning punts. Because you need, Berrios, you need the sure-handed short strider for that. But kick returns, he's perfect for that. Why not? I think we might use him that way.
Over Berrios or more like
with Berrios. With Berrios. So a lot of times we're doing a split, where one guy on one side, one guy, put him back there with Berrios. Why not?
Yeah.
And he's a good blocker. So if it doesn't go to him, he's blocking. Perfect.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm
Bam Knight gets a chance, but I hope Bam Knight gets his chance to return as well. And let's see who's better at it. So,
yeah. So look, it's like, look, and again, I don't even think it's far-fetched to say that we're going to focus on 12 personnel a lot this year. So when you have 12 personnel, there's only, 2 receivers on the field, Right. So that's going to limit too. It's probably going to be Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore, or Corey Davis and Garrett Wilson, or some sort of variation of that. And so that's going to limit the touches too. So I think with us expecting like Elijah Moore to have 1,000, Garrett Wilson to have 1,000, I don't know how realistic that is, but it won't be important if the offense is flowing. If they're getting the ball to the tight end and Breece Hall and Michael Carter all day, I'm just as happy with that as having a receiver that goes for 1,800 yards. You know what I mean? Like it's all just about Zach Wilson and how well the offense flows. But I'm telling you right now, I think they're going to have a lot of designs for feeding that ball to the tight ends. That's what I see, and running backs. Yeah, and we're going to be running too. So I don't know.
I'd love to see 3 tight ends on the field. Put Ruckert in that H-back role, that fullback role. Please put 3 tight ends on the field. Let's see it.
We will. We definitely will. And that's the nice thing about all of these people. We now have the people to do certain things. We can go 10 personnel and put 4 wides out there. Put Denzel in the damn slot. Match up with Denzel in the slot. That's what I'd like to do to stress these. Put Elijah in one slot and Denzel in another slot. Good luck matching up with that. Good luck.
I would actually... Frankie, I'm actually going to surprise you a little bit. I would put more outside, put Corey Davis in the slot, and have his strength and size take advantage of those smaller cornerbacks.
You could do it that way too, and that's the thing. Yeah. We have so many chess pieces now. There's so many options and ways we can create mismatches. It's fantastic, and I think we are gonna. We saw LaFleur can be creative, and now that I think they're starting to believe in Denzel, all right, let's figure out how to use Denzel's skill set. May not be for 10 catches a game, but if he gets 3 catches a game for 50 yards, hey, got something.
Yeah. So it's going to be fun. If they are able to utilize what we've collected, and it looks like from what we saw last year from Mike LaFleur, like Frankie was just saying, he looks like a creative offensive mind. He has his first year under his belt, being the big boy in the room, and when he went upstairs, a whole different thing. We saw his growth last year, right? We saw it. They went out there, they collected a bunch of guys that fit what he wants to do. If we can utilize what we have, we're going to have a fun season, man. It's about Zach. If Zach has come through to the other side of a very difficult rookie year, if we protect him, I think that we're going to have a lot of fun this year. Now, will we have a winning record at the end of it? I don't know, because we have a brutal schedule, so we'll see. But it's about progress. I'm gonna say it, as painful as it would be. If we win 7 games this year and have a couple like nail biters that we just lose, we can't close it out. That's a success, guys. It is. Do I want 7? No, I want 9. I want 8. I'd like to get there. I want more, but being realistic. If we won 7 games this year and have a team that's clearly moving in the right direction, that's going to be a successful year. And I think that we should keep that in focus every year right around now. It starts with, we're going to have this guy's getting 1,000. This guy's getting this, Zach for 45. Like, this is when it starts. And by the time the opening day rolls around, we're in a fervor, and then we watch the Jets. So we gotta remember who we're watching. But Watch UK, you got a trivia question for us tonight? We're already an hour over. So this has been fun. You got one for us?
You know what? I've got 2 different questions that I could go with, and Frankie, I'm going to let you pick the category today. We could either go 2021 Jets defense, or we could go with Ryan Fitzpatrick, who just announced his retirement.
Well, only thing I'd know about is 2021 Jets defense. All right. I'm Fitzpatrick. I'm not gonna. There's no way I'll know any of that.
Okay. So I thought I went a little rough on everybody last week with the Reggie Cobb questions. So
yeah.
I decided to do something a little bit more recent. Your question is this: in the name of speaking about Mo Lewis, we talked about a bunch of different statistics and all the great things that he did. one thing that he did very well was force fumbles. Well, the 2021 Jets weren't quite so good at that. However, the Jets had 2 players who forced 3 fumbles in the 2021 season. Your job, name those 2 players.
Ashton Davis and John Franklin Myers.
You got one correct.
Which one was it? JFM.
Ashton Davis is correct.
I was going to say JFM.
I thought that would be the hard one. Yeah.
No,
that's funny because I was going to say JFM, but I didn't. Ashton Davis wasn't even on my radar. Okay, so
I don't think he would have been on many people's radar, to be honest.
Jason Reeves says Michael Carter. What do you think?
Michael Carter is incorrect.
Incorrect. Ollie Lewis says Williams, Quinnen Williams. I think he means, or maybe Quincy. He gets both with this guess.
Quincy Williams is correct. So it's Quincy Williams and Ashton Davis. Yeah.
I got one out of 2. I knew I had a shot if it was that.
Jordan Victor had Mosley and Davis. Nathan Colgrove had Quincy. Hey, look, Nathan Colgrove had it.
The only other players who had multiple forced fumbles were C.J. Mosley with 2 and Jason Pinnock with 2.
Yeah, and Pinnock would have had a 3rd one if it didn't go out of bounds, bastard.
See? Look at that, though.
Look at that memory right there.
Thomas Cahill had Quincy Williams. That's funny. I wasn't even thinking him. Some guy had Quincy. He had Bryce Hall and JFM too. I was thinking JFM. I really was. Jeff Otis Brown.
Nice.
Jeff Otis Brown gets Quincy Williams by default as well. He said the letter Q, so that he's in there technically speaking. Again, Nathan Colgrove got it, so we're going to give you the win, Nathan Colgrove. Frankie got 50%. I got 0. Cadoza's he actually went for it and used full name, and that makes you wrong, Cadoza. Victor said, he got Davis. Good guys. Phenom says he wants you to know that was a good question, Y2K. That was good.
Thank you, Phenom. I do try.
Sean Bennett wants more. He wants more. Only 1 per week. Sean Bennett.
Wait, does he want more or Morel or what does that say?
He wants some morals.
Morals?
Morel. Look at that. I need Morel.
I need
more L's. Moral.
More L's.
I have absolutely no.
We definitely don't need more L's. That's for sure.
Is that like a cold cut or something?
Well, I know as far as L's go, I think we're good, Sean. We don't need any more L's.
Stocked up here. We're all stocked up here.
Right. Well, guys, let me tell you, this has been a really fun show. Again, 3 hours. It just flew by. It doesn't feel like 3 hours to me, but that it is. So I want to go around the table, let everybody get a chance to say something. But I will tell you guys, next Thursday, thick of it, we have a special guest coming on. I'll tell you guys right now, it is our former special teams coach, the one and only Mike Westhoff, is going to be the guest on this very show, June 9th, 1 week from tonight. I hope you guys will all be here to check in. Hopefully, we're going to get to a bunch of your questions. I have a few for him, but I really want to get a lot of you guys. I want to try to get you guys some questions to Mike Westhoff. We'll do the absolute best that we can. They didn't give me a time limit. So there's even the slim possibility that he'll be here with us for fucking 3.5 hours.
Oh,
so I don't know.
God.
Hey, I asked his assistant, I said, is there anything that he doesn't want to talk about or that he wants to make sure I talk about? She said, nothing. There's nothing he won't talk about. I said, okay, there it is.
I'm going to ask him some questions about time management.
Yeah. Right.
I'm not even kidding.
But here's the thing. The truth is that most of us love Mike Westhoff, myself included. I mean, he was an amazing energy, an amazing presence on our sideline. And I was sad to see him go. I was. But it's going to be fun to have access to him. I got a few guests I'm working on. I almost had a yes. I didn't get a no, but it's not confirmed. I almost had a yes on another pretty big one, man. So we're trying to get you guys some good content. Not that this content isn't good, of course, but some extra stuff, some extra special loving. I think we'll get there as we move forward into this season. It's going to be a fun year. But Y2K, why don't you let everybody know what's going on? You got your new channel, buddy.
Yeah, so basically I rebranded. I took the Watts2K name, and I'll still be Watts2K99. Certainly during this chat, it'll still be my screen name. So, but I rebranded it as NY Sports Wicker Media. I think it was Jetsfan United who came up with the Wicker Media thing after the whole. We call it the Mother's Day Marathon. It was myself, Nick Shine, Jeremy, and Tigo. Buffalo was there for a little while, and we broadcasted for 5 hours. Till 3 a.m. It was insane. And I happened to be sitting in a very old school chair that night that got quite a reaction. And I figured, you know what? This is going to become a little trademark for me. So why don't I just do that? So I brought it back with me from North Carolina this weekend. I now have it in my apartment. I'm working on a little setup. I created a new logo today, which has the Watts2K99 name in it. And if you notice my logo, if you take a look at it, it's round, but the inner circle of it is green, because if it wasn't for the Jets, none of this would have been happening.
There you go.
The Jets are at the
but I mean, does it have a secret jet taking off in the side of a football?
Subliminal message in there.
I mean, because otherwise I don't want anything to do with it. Because I need all the subliminal.
Frankie,
aren't the things.
Aren't the racing stripes down the side of the pants enough for you? They resemble airplane wings.
Yeah, there you go.
Pilots
wear pants, so what the hell?
Yeah. But this channel is going to be a little bit more wide ranging. So primarily it will be Mets, Jets, Rangers. I will throw in some other things: Knicks, Yankees, Giants, whatever is going on. But we're going to see where this goes. But I am absolutely excited to start to take this, do it on a more regular basis. Of course, I'll still be here, and I'll still be doing the Wednesday night show with Jeremy. So definitely check that out on Jets Chaos with Jeremy. And thank God it didn't become Shamrock's Chaos with Jeremy.
Yeah, right. Before we I'll let you know about Frankie. I want to just, Iowan Jets fan has a funny comment, and he says, Mike Westhoff, look how excited Frankie looks. Now, in fairness, Frankie, I'm going to tell you guys, I got the confirmation from Mike Westhoff's team that they're going to come on. And I excitedly texted Frank first thing, Frankie, guess what? And I wrote this whole thing, and this is what he wrote. Sounds good. That's what he wrote. And I wrote back, no, dude, no way. And he goes, oh, sorry. Hooray. I'm like, this fucking guy.
Frankie, if you'd like any one of us to take your spot for that particular, there are many of us who will offer.
He's just not a very excitable guy.
I mean, I'll talk to Coach. I'll talk to anybody. But I mean, I see Steelers all the time. I walk down the street and see Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, what am I supposed to do? Get excited?
Yeah. Yes. That's what I'm fishing for. So in the future, when I do that with the next guy we get, I want awesome, man. That's what I'm fishing for.
But I'm excited to ask Coach some questions. I really have some actual questions for Coach Westhoff. But, that's great.
About the uniform having nothing to do with the Jets.
No. I won't ask him about that. No,
special teams question. There was a discussion about maybe changing the name to the Shamrocks. How do you feel about that?
So, Frankie, special teams oriented.
Why don't you let everybody know what you got cooking, buddy?
Frankie from Flatbush Channel. We are going to bring back Coffee with Frankie this Saturday. So those who have been missing Coffee with Frankie the last couple of Saturdays, we'll do Coffee with Frankie Saturday, 11 a.m. Check it out. Frankie from Flatbush Channel on YouTube.
Yeah, there you go. So don't forget to like and subscribe to these guys as well. It's important that we support each other. Too good, look, these are good guys. These are good, they know their shit, and they're out there putting it together for you. This stuff is harder than you think, man. Collecting research and being it's not as easy as it looks. I know I make it look easy, but it's difficult and it takes work. So let's all support our boy Watts2K and his new channel Wicker Media, NY Sports Wicker Media, and obviously Frankie from Flatbush as well. And don't forget about Jets Chaos with Jeremy. He's not here with us tonight, but he's here with us in spirit. And he's a great help to this show and this channel, and his channel's taken off, so it's nice to see, and you can give those guys some love. Don't forget to click my link and play my versus games. I put them in just about every video at the top. You got the opportunity to win some money. If not, it's pretty fun. These questions are, I can make the questions anything I want. So It's good fun. And if you want to join the Beanbaggers and help the channel while getting exclusive content private to only that group, you can click the link in the description as well that says join the Beanbaggers. And that is a good time and greatly appreciated. If you haven't liked the stream, please do that now. Assuming you're still here, that means you liked it. So if you did, go ahead and click that thumbs up for us. It helps. And in addition to that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. Did I miss something down here? Guys, I see something from Frankie. Was it comment by? Was there something you wanted me to comment on, Frankie? Before I leave, I don't want to.
Ryan made a comment.
What do you say?
It's not a great comment in terms of news. Ryan, I don't know. I'm trying to go back and see it. It's about Rockaway Archie.
Oh, what do you say? Okay.
He's saying Rockaway Archie actually passed away suddenly that week.
No.
Yeah. So Ryan, I'm kind of hoping that's not true, but I guess it is. So I just wanted to acknowledge that.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Hey, if you wouldn't mind, Ryan, if you could email me if there's any details or anything, I would really love to know. To see if there's anything that I can do. Rockaway Archie he was literally one of the first people to connect with me here. And wow. I'm not happy to hear that. So please, if you could, my email is in the description, bean@greenbeanjetsfan.com. If you could, I would be really appreciative, man. I would appreciate that. And obviously, guys, let's just keep him in our thoughts because, maybe it's not true, but if it is, man, we lost a good one. He was with us every week. So that's sad. Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate it. He says he'll email me.
Yeah,
all right, guys. Sorry to close it on. What's that? Sorry.
No, I'm just saying. I looked up his Facebook. The last post I see from him is May 24th, and nothing since. I don't see anything on the page that refers to that situation. But it looked like he updated things pretty frequently, and I haven't seen anything since the 24th. So at this point, that's a week and a half. So not good.
Okay. Well, that's sad, dude. That's sad. So, all right, Ryan, I'll look out for your email, and thank you for telling us. Sorry to end it on that note, but I'm glad that we at least acknowledged it, and we'll talk about it as we get confirmation one way or the other. But guys, thanks again for being here. We appreciate you more than you know, and I hope you had a good night, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, here we come, baby. Here we come. Here come the Jets, baby.
I want to kiss you.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah! You want to run or you want to duck down? You want to duck, just go over and get onto the bench and stay there.
You play to win the game.
My message for the fans, we're all frustrated with where we are right now.
Jets, Jets, Jets.